Good morning. It is the Drake Toll Show on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. Drake Toll with you from the Savannah Bananas organization and Locked On Big 12 and right here on Westwood One Sports. You can listen live every day on the Drake Toll Show YouTube channel, the Westwood One Sports app, or Sirius XM 375, ESPN, and NBC Sports play-by-play. There's nobody better. I have decided, I've deduced, there's no one in the world better than Pete Souza, and he joins the fold to co-host again today, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Stu Kovacs produces this week, and Laura Jimenez runs the board. Is Lane Kiffin just kind of an ass? Can we start there, please? Can we? My whole day yesterday, my whole Twitter feed was just populated, and I know we can get to more LeBron today and WNBA and the NFL grass thing. And maybe there is now some fatigue on SEC Media Days. Right? It's hard for a conference media days to become the story in a week because it's just a bunch of coaches giving answers to questions over the course of a couple days at a podium. But SEC Media Days has brought out the stars. It's brought out the fireworks. And Lane Kiffin yesterday filibusters at the podium for 16 minutes just saying stuff to avoid questions. And then the new LSU head football coach who left Ole Miss and he even said it was kind of this shameful firestorm, just once again looked a little silly. Pete, Lane Kiffin, who was promised to never be at it again, is at it again.
I am really not sure if he's a con man or if there's something going on. Really, I mean, like, I feel like he could be one part con man, but then there's part of me too that thinks he's very authentic and he's pure in his intentions and he just can't get out of his own way. Yeah. Either way, wherever the guy goes, it becomes toxic at some point. I think it's hard to imagine. I was thinking about this yesterday, doing the same thing you were doing, just kind of wading through all of the Lane Kiffin stuff for SEC Media Days. And I really posed the question to myself, like, is this a bad guy? Like, is this a bad guy? Or is this just sports guy doing, he referenced Hulk Hogan yesterday. Is this just sports guy being like a wrestling personality almost? And I am still not quite sure, but he's got me again. Like, he is the lover that can always get me back. And I'm like, it's going to be different this time with Lane. Because last year, what happened at the end of the season, to me, is like sports malpractice. Like, you take a program, you put them in a position to reach the zenith, and you bounce before they have that opportunity. I, as a kid, can't imagine, like, I thought about this again. Like, what if Barry Switzer had left Oklahoma to go coach, like, Notre Dame, and the Sooners weren't going to be with him for the championship game? That never would have happened.
Yeah.
Like, never, ever, ever would have happened. And now it's happening over and over again with this guy. And I think my one last point here was because I love Al Davis. The Raiders are my favorite story in football. I just love the silver and black, the autumn wind. But what Al Davis did to Lane Kiffin, like, it's almost like, when people show you who they are, believe them. And when Al Davis tells you that they're like that too, you damn well better believe them.
Yeah, this is not the first time Kiffin's been in the spotlight for controversy, and this is a minor one compared to some of the headlines Kiffin's been a part of over the course of his career. And I want to go through a couple of these, Pete, and almost weigh how we got to this version of Lane Kiffin. It's the Drake Toll Show, Westwood One Sports, and the Westwood One Sports app. Pete Souza co-hosting. 2009. He leaves Knoxville, Tennessee.
I love a timeline. Dude.
Here we go.
I love a timeline.
I should go back to early 80s, late 70s. Kiffin's born to the Hall of Famer Monty Kiffin, right? That's the true timeline. And born into a football family. And after the 7-6 season at Tennessee, Kiffin's he's built, because he's got this car salesman vibe to him. He's easy to buy into if you're a fan of Lane Kiffin. He reminds me a lot, and it makes sense at LSU, of Kim Mulkey. This is how Kim was at Baylor, where a lot of the country can hate you, but if this person's coaching at your school, they're in your camp, you are you're programmed to like them. You enjoy that the the person who carries themselves with moxie and they're kind of an ass, that person's on your side. That's how Lane Kiffin was in Knoxville and drummed up Tennessee fans. He then leaves. There are riots in Knoxville. They're like, we'll kill the guy. If he's ever here again, we'll kill him. He leaves high school recruits high and dry. Fan base is betrayed. He's gone. Then the Oakland Raiders overhead projector firing, you mentioned, Al Davis. Just awesome moment. A year and a half into his tenure.
Al wasn't working for the cover of GQ that day either. That was a rough one for all of us.
It's awesome. It's beautiful. Just like sunglasses, walks in. Here's my projector. I think the advent of smart boards were here. Like, we had TVs. We could have done something a little more modern. We went projector. Let's explain to you detail by detail why Lane Kiffin was fired. He has meltdowns at USC. He kicks reporters out of press conferences because they had reported on player injury, like standard reporting. Just, hey, so-and-so's got a hamstring injury. They're doubtful. Bang, you're done. No more credential. Then he gets fired on the tarmac, goes to Ole Miss. There's a slap-in-the-face exit. Even, again, he said at the podium yesterday, Lane Kiffin said that leaving Ole Miss, I regret a lot of that and the way that it happened. And then on the way out, Pete, you might remember this one from February, he gets to a podium and it's like, yeah, you know, Oxford's a little more racist than Baton Rouge, so it was hard to recruit black players. And you're like, what is happening right now? Right, the racial safe haven of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, that's always been so pristine in the boot. And really, if you want, sans a timeline, just his social media use, the troll lord toxicity of tweeting at coaches, posting videos, posting memes, posting pictures of girls, and his Snapchat usage. It seems like a guy who's got some foundational issues, and Pete, he keeps telling us, he keeps coming to the podium and publicly saying, I, Lane Kiffin, have foundational issues. But every time we start to believe he's rebranded or rebuilt himself, we become the fools for believing Lane Kiffin would be any different.
Well, I think he's like working through his like new chapter in life. And I have personal experience with this, being sober for more than a decade. He stops drinking when he's at Ole Miss and his life really changes. I mean, you can just do like a physical timeline. It's very clear when he starts to live different. And he has mentioned that alcohol was a huge part of that. And he mentioned yesterday about no longer being on social media. And we talk about this in recovery too. A lot of times recovery isn't about gaining stuff. It's about getting rid of stuff, right? You get rid of alcohol, you get rid of social media. So that's where he pulled off the ultimate con with me. I thought, okay, because when I stopped drinking, I really had like a personality shift. You get a lot of help. They add structure in your life. You add structure in your life. You have a higher power in your life if you're into certain ways of doing it. And I think Lane does too. But he doesn't really live what you would consider a sober life. Like, you have to be honest with people. You have to look them in the eye. You have to do what you say and say what you do. And that's where he falls short. And so I wonder if for Lane, internally, he's got his family back. I mean, that's a fact. Like on the home front, it seems like things are as in tune as they've been in his life. And he's been honest about that. And I think that makes it easier for him to be a bit of a douche when it comes to the sport of football. Like, I truly do. I think he is still a mess. And my situation is, am I going to let him con me again? And I think I am. I mean, I'm taken with him when he's at the podium. I really am.
That I like that as the thesis of this. Lane Kiffin is a mess. Lane Kiffin is a mess, and that might be for better or worse. Now, the pressure that's built in with that as an SEC football coach only gets worse and worse when you go to a school like LSU. Benjamin Watson, NFL player, now analyst, earlier this week said that it is LSU or LSU winning a national championship or bust. They need to make the national title game in year one under Lane Kiffin if the season's a failure. Here's Benjamin Watson.
And LSU fans.
I may have to get to Benjamin later.
That was like a great drop. I'm an LSU fan.
I'll continue then, Ben. Thanks. The pressure that's mounted on Lane Kiffin, and even he had a chance to respond yesterday. One of the ways he responded, this is why I think Lane Kiffin is still a problem, or is a problem, is when John Sumrall, the new Florida coach, said, I'm not going to complain about a 9-game SEC schedule. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm not going to complain about being an SEC football coach. Kiffin did the opposite. Here is Lane Kiffin on the tough SEC schedule he has to face this year.
I just think that it's going to cause issues that we've already seen until we can get into a world where people can actually look at teams and say, that team that is 9-3 with their schedule is a better team than that 11-1 in a different conference, which now I think we aren't even close to doing that. I think it causes a problem.
And this was a topic all day yesterday of analysts, coaches, even Nick Saban saying the problem might be that we're valuing wins too much. The SEC continue. This is the same conference who had half the field in the college football playoff last year. The SEC is continuing to complain that they're not given fair access to the college football playoff when, Pete, no one is given more access to the college football playoff.
Well, and I do want to add Shahan Jayaraj, a wonderful CBS Sports college football writer. Yeah. After Kiffin mentioned that 9-3 quote, Shahan tweeted, fun fact is that Texas would still have missed the college football playoff in 2025 if it was based solely on FPI and advanced metrics. It wasn't a Big 12 or ACC team that took their spot. It was Oklahoma, who was 15th. The 3 worst at large in FPI were all SEC teams. So that argument doesn't even hold up, which is the smoke and mirrors show that we saw coming out of SEC media days. And I was disappointed because as much as I don't trust Lane Kiffin as far as I could throw him, I do trust Nick Saban. And now, mind you, Nick Saban's still getting $500,000 a year from Alabama. And there's still a lot of we in that slang. And he's talking about the SEC yesterday. And to your point, Drake, he mentions, well, maybe the best conference doesn't necessarily or isn't reflected in the national champion. We have a deep conference. We had all those teams in the college football playoff. That is a definition of the best conference in college football. And I'm like, wait a minute, dude. I'm not this is Nick Saban, so now you're lying to me too? It just feels like, and then you have a connection to Lane Kiffin. And now I'm like, is this the Illuminati? Like, what is happening here? Like, these people are telling us things that are not true. And there's numbers over here that say they're not true. And then Greg Sankey, I go back to the guy went from Tony Soprano to Michael Scott in the course of 2 weeks or a week.
Yeah.
I mean, really, that's a question, Drake. When we talk about SEC Media Days, I feel like Greg Sankey is the biggest loser from this whole thing. And ultimately the conferences too. For the first time since I can remember, dude, and we're talking maybe 20 years, the SEC feels desperate.
That's a good
SEC
tease.
feels desperate.
Can we do a whole segment on that, please? Because I agree. I agree. The league that has all the draft picks, that has the best recruits, the transfer portal, the NIL, the best infrastructure in college football, they are talking desperate. It's not hidden anymore.
Yes.
The rhetoric is desperate. Can I raise you that question, though, before we hit the break here? Is Lane Kiffin, to tie a bow on this, we talked a lot yesterday about LeBron James just wanting attention and how it's mostly benign. He just loves attention. And I know that Kiffin, he's admitted to hurting people in his camp. And there are distinct differences. But as it pertains to just wanting and loving attention, LeBron James loves and wants attention. Lane Kiffin loves and wants attention. And a lot of the attention he's gotten at the forefront of his social media use or his press conferences has been benign. Kiffin's actions yesterday didn't necessarily hurt his college football program. Maybe he's just this, and it doesn't have to be a negative thing, just this massive, this professional grifter that has us all in the palm of his hand. And it worked at Ole Miss. And it might work at LSU, too. Just because he is a problem, it might not be a bad thing for a guy that continues to be at the top of the conversation.
Yeah, and I think you're totally right. And I think lost in all this is that he's an amazing coach. And some people, I feel like there's a lot of oversight with that. And that's interesting in its own right. It's almost as though he's like crazy like a fox. Like we all, because think about it. You're not looking at LSU right now as big, bad LSU. You look at it as, a new primetime drama that just added a brand new cast member who's going to be like to infuse life into a dying show because the ratings were going down. So now let's get a superstar television actress on the backside of his career. Like, let's get Burt Reynolds on Evening Shade. That's probably before your time. But Burt Reynolds played a high school football coach.
A little bit.
It was a good show, too.
I really like. I'm more of like an Arrested Development era. That's where I really hit my stride there with the Bluth family. When we come back, the SEC is desperate. If you're a college football fan, if you're a Western Kentucky fan, you bleed red. If you woke up today and you love the SMU Mustangs, if you love the Texas A&M Aggies, the SEC is screaming desperation. America's top college football conference might just be number 2 behind the Big Ten, and they can't handle it. How did we get here? And is it true that they're desperate? It's Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. He is Pete Souza co-hosting this with Laura Jimenez running the board and Stu Kovacs producing. Is the Drake Toll Show.
The 49ers start training camp tomorrow. Future Hall of Famer Mike Evans joins a talented roster. San Francisco stay healthy and finish the job to secure their 6th Super Bowl title. Westwood One Sports.
Bodies go on trial just for laughing at the joke, just for saying of the bargain what any sales girl already knows. Most of us old men die at the firing line, just waiting for our number to be called. I guess time just makes fools of us all. Now the king gets his stepson when he's loaded as a gun. Says a real man is like a country. You need a map to find your one. Now I do you suppose you must approach the throne with its back up against the wall. I guess time just makes fools of us all. Minds of my generation gladly conscripted in the war of defending any Goliath that would deign darken the door. Now with your genius for picking battles, it's no wonder every helmet is too small. I guess time just makes fools of us all. I guess time just makes fools of us all. My drink is watered down. The champ is on his knees. He lost the rematch. He lost the comeback. He lost for charity, but that's the job. It's what gets the asses in the hall. They came for a beating, and he came to brawl. of all the young gods I have known. Yours is easily the least famous to turn down the cover of a Rolling Stone. Lily white faces, so familiar and yet impossible to recall. I guess time just makes fools of us all. After a millennia of good times, God said, hey now, let's have a dream where we raise the stakes a little. Come on, let's make things interesting. Parachute into the Anthropocene, an amnesiac, a Himbo and all. I guess time does make fools of us all.
And I was taking shots from the front and the back. It is Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. Good morning. The Drake Toll Show. Drake Toll with you. Laura Jimenez runs the board. She's good, man. She's good, Pete. She's done it again.
She's real good.
She's done it again. Stu Kovacs produces today. It is the Drake Toll Show. And you posed a great question there. Like, it's so good that it sparks so many ideas and thoughts for me of the SEC being desperate or overrated, or are we finally seeing kind of this red button mode where, what did you say, from Tony Soprano to Michael Scott?
Michael Scott, dude.
Yeah. Where the commissioner, Greg Sankey's gone. But it doesn't even start with to me, it doesn't necessarily start with the commissioner. It starts with these flag bearers for the conference like Nick Saban. So Saban, when pinged on the SEC versus the Big Ten, I mean, this is the greatest college football coach of the modern era at the very least. And when he's asked about the SEC being the best conference, and he's given a prompt about the SEC versus the Big Ten, here's what he had to say yesterday on ESPN. Nick Saban on the SEC versus Big Ten.
We had 5 teams in the playoffs last year. I think we'll have that many teams in the playoffs again. They have to play each other. And it's a special thing with a special team who has things go their way.
And things go their way, right? This is the split. This is the split rhetoric that we get out of this, Pete. This is what stopped me about this quote. Is we're talking about a conference who usually has things go their way. They had 5 teams in a 12-team college football playoff last year. But all I've heard this week from Nick Saban, from Greg Sankey, from Lane Kiffin, from Eli Drinkwitz, the Missouri head coach, is complaining about how hard it is to be the SEC. At some point, for a conference that hasn't gone to the national title for now 3 consecutive years, I don't believe this anymore.
No, and you shouldn't. Because they're telling us not to, with everything they're saying and with everything they're not saying. For the first time, I really feel like the SEC has been politicking, filibustering, like what do they say, stumping, like when you open a campaign, like, or when you continue your campaign. They're constantly out there feeding us these narratives that's not backed up by play. It's still the deepest conference. And in my opinion, it's still top to bottom the best conference. But there was a while there where there was no question about it. Now there obviously is, and the future is I don't want to say bleak, but it's uncertain because of the landscape changing.
I want to push back on that. Like Vanderbilt, who had the Heisman runner-up Diego Pavia, they lost to Iowa. Iowa was an 8-4 regular season team. Vanderbilt lost to Iowa in a bowl game, and maybe the push. I don't want to answer this for you, but sure, there is the SEC doesn't want to play in bowl games, and it almost adds to the point of. Like we are trained to say the SEC is the best conference and deepest conference, but where's the metric? I'm running out of metrics.
Yeah, you and I don't have one right now ready for you, but I do have. I have my heart and soul, and I have my experience, which says something. And I believe that the SEC, when you look at their schedules from top to bottom for each team, an SEC conference schedule is particularly daunting, as opposed to a Big Ten schedule. I just feel like there's almost no bottom anymore in the SEC, especially with Vanderbilt getting better. And that is, in the Big Ten, there's Rutgers, right? There's who else? Maryland. Like any day now, Mike Loxley's going to get fired. I can't even believe he's coming back. But and I'm not using the best of examples with the Big Ten, but to me, the depth is not as extreme in the Big Ten as it is in the SEC. But here's where your point is going. I think we're headed in a direction where it's going to be better. And I think other conferences are going to catch up and be better as well. Look, dude, people saw Indiana last year, and everybody's trying to equal it now. People think that they can use their millions or billions to almost like pseudo own a pro football team by pumping money into their alma mater. Now, the issue with that is there's only one Curt Cignetti, and I think people are going to learn a tough lesson this year. But the fact of the matter is these guys are willing now to reach into their deep pockets and put more money out there. And I don't know. You know what's interesting, Drake? I want to see what you think about this. We hear about donor fatigue, right? I'm sick of paying $2 million for a quarterback that starts 2 games and is never heard from again, right? But like here we are talking about an arms race. And the fact that it's like we have more disposable income than ever now in these college sports, and it's going to change the face of so many programs, right? Like we talked about SMU, Michigan State.
Yeah.
Just got $400 million, dude. Like that can make a whole roster. Like really good.
I like the schedule point that you made, and yes, in this arms race, this money race, what we are learning is now the 12, 15 top teams in college football have evened themselves out enough that I think number 13 out of that group can beat number 4 pretty handedly. And that was showcased last year when an Indiana, who wasn't the biggest spender, beat Alabama, who's spending more in NIL, 38-3 in the college football play. Once you hit the top tier of spenders in college football, you get to become you're part of the party. You're part of the show. You can compete and win at a high level. And it's the Drake Toll Show, Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app.
Drake, real quick, I think one thing that you just mentioned, Indiana won a national championship with dudes from JMU. Not like 5 stars from all over the country. And I think that we are, again, this is like the money side of it now is almost like our new version of analytics. Like if we throw all this money at players and build the best team that money can buy, we're going to win. Well, the problem is you got to factor in, are your guys actually going to play like together, play well? Do they have that fortitude internally? And do they have a coach like Curt Cignetti? Like that dude could very possibly be a one of one. I know it's a small body of work that I'm not going to say he's one of the best coaches of all time. I need more time. I mean, what he's done is amazing. And clearly he's vaulted to the top of the coaching industry right now. He's top 3 in the country. But I believe that this is a little misguided, that okay, we can just spend money and get the best team. But ultimately that's going to change how college football is run.
I agree. And another portion to back that up is on no day of the week should LSU lose to Houston. That was a bowl game last year. LSU walked in with 66 blue chips. Houston walked in with 6. Like that's the number. 66 blue chip recruits versus 6. And so you're like, well, LSU had 28 opt-outs. Yeah, they still have 38 more blue chip recruits than 38 different blue chip recruits who can go out and play against a Houston team who has 6. There's not a world where we grade these athletes, and Houston should be on the same playing surface.
Well, again, how good of a coach is Willie Fritz? I mean, are we looking at Are we starting to overlook the importance of the coaches, the mentality of the quarterbacks? I think we're missing something now when we're assembling these teams because we're moving so fast at light speed, adjusting to the changes.
So now I'm thinking about, right? Rhett Lashley at SMU. Bring SMU back into this, just how good of a football coach he is, because he's winning with a budget that's not the same as what a Clemson, a Florida State, what a Miami is going to have year in and year out, and a Dabo Swinney on the other end, who is failing in this new era of college. Now, Dabo wouldn't he'd say, a couple bad seasons, get a water out of our boat, we'll be good to go. But you're seeing guys like Rhett Lashley, these smaller names in college football that have ascended with Willie Fritz at Houston, that have ascended with smaller brands, Kalani Sitake at BYU, because of how they coach and handle their programs without the money of a blue blood, a blue chip program. And that's where I think maybe the SEC is trying to hire guys like John Summerall out of Tulane. How do we go, Alex Golesh out of USF? How do we go find the Willie Fritzes of the world, what Houston just did, and replicate that at Auburn and replicate that at Florida? It's the Drake Toll Show, Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. He's Pete Souza co-hosting. On the schedule conversation, though, yes, the SEC schedule, we're prone to believe the SEC has the toughest schedule in college football. Pete, 16 of the top 20 strength of schedule schools in America right now per ESPN are SEC schools. So when strength of schedule, but
and there's a metric behind that,
right? And this metric goes into how many the recruits you have, and if you play at home or road. I mean, in fact, there's a logo piece to this. Do you play Georgia? But I look at Vanderbilt's schedule this year, and there are 3 marquee games. Now they're huge. Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss. Now, I think Alabama and Ole Miss could both be beatable for a team like Vanderbilt this year. First-year head coach at Ole Miss, and Alabama still has its question marks. Georgia, they are the Georgia Bulldogs. From there, though, you got Florida, Mississippi State, Kentucky, and Arkansas, Austin Peay, right? The USC Trojans, conversely, they play Oregon. They play at Penn State. They play Ohio State. They play Indiana. Damn, Pete, those 4 games alone. Those 4 games alone are better than an SEC schedule. And that's not to mention
and I think it's changing. I mean, right now, talking to you, like, I'm not one of those guys who's like 10 toes down on, this debate. I mean, I feel strongly about what I've said so far, but this is moving so fast. Like I just said, like literally by the minute, it seems like the Big Ten is starting to eclipse the SEC. And that's when it goes back to body language and aura. And like Greg Sankey in the SEC used to walk into a bar at 12:30 every Saturday night and could walk out with any woman that they chose, right? Now they're walking into the bar, it's 2:00, dude. And they've got that sketched out, like, I got to find somebody to go home with before 2 a.m. energy. And you get what you get with that. I personal experience here, notwithstanding. So what I can tell you is, like, I don't believe the SEC feels good about its future. And I'm very curious to see if the SEC kind of already knows that, right? And the writing is on the wall with the financial landscape being smoothed out. The top is never going to be, the ceiling isn't going to be as high as it was at Georgia again. You know what I mean? Like, they just can't get all those recruits and stack those teams like they used to because there's money to go all over the country.
Yeah, that's why Texas Tech has landed the last 2 number 1 overall prospects in high school football. To what Tech's doing, and I've had conversations with college football coaches who are interested, actually. They don't love it. They don't hate it. They're interested to see how the experiment plays out, is while Alabama can promise that kid $200,000 as a freshman, because that's an insurance policy. That you don't know what they're going to do in college football yet. That's a lot of money to dole out for what might not pan out. Tech says, hey, we'll give you $400,000. We believe in you. Come play here for multiple years. You honor us, we'll honor you. And maybe that's what works out for Joey McGuire, but it's taking the 5 stars away from a school like Georgia. Pete, I want to close this SEC talk here. You said the SEC is desperate, or they look desperate, they might be desperate. If that's the water cooler tip, if I walk into work and I say the SEC is desperate, then what? Right? Is that a problem? Is it good? Is it like what?
Yeah,
is the,
no, yeah.
What's if you say the SEC is desperate and I say so what? What is the so what of that?
Well, the so what is you've got to prove it on the football field now, like because all this is based on quote unquote talking season, right? Which I think is more out of control than it's ever been, because we are now sitting here on a Friday morning, the week of SEC Media Days, and we're talking about this like somebody actually played a game.
Right, yeah.
Nobody played.
Yeah.
Nothing has happened. This is all based on all of the smoke that has been pumped out by coaches, ADs, some players, us. And we love it. It's so much fun, but I've never seen the credibility shoot up around these media days. I mean, 30 years ago, this was a glorified press conference. Now it's like the season premiere of your favorite show. Yeah. And I love it, but it's a little dangerous. Like, I myself need to tap the brakes a little bit. We love this so much. We just shoot it right into our veins and go crazy. And I think like we need to pause on that just a little bit. But the SEC and its aura, which has shifted a little, I am curious to see if that is something that we see kind of filter from the top down. You know, this impenetrable force is now all of a sudden somewhat vulnerable. What's that going to look like this year? What if they don't make the college football championship game this year?
Yeah,
4 years in a row.
And does that mean? I think to add on to that, and as I'm unpacking the take as well, does it mean the ACC, the Big 12? Does it mean Tulane has an open opportunity to rise to prominence in college football, to ascend college football to a new level? The SEC has at least left that door open. And the Big Ten can take it and say, hey, no, we're the conference for the rest of time. Nobody else. There's no other get in. The rope is closed off. But the SEC stumbling opens the door for a Houston to win at a high level, a Texas Tech, a BYU, a Miami, a Duke. Man, what if Manny Diaz just builds momentum at Duke and starts winning? The SEC has left that door open, and it leads to a new era of college football, or very well could. He is Pete Souza, ESPN and NBC play-by-play. It joins the Drake Toll Show co-hosting this week. Stu Kovacs produces. Laura Jimenez runs the board. When we return, we'll give you our biggest losers of the day. Is the SEC desperate? 310-840-4910. 310-840-4910. You can get involved. This is the Drake Toll Show.
Patriots training camp opens today. A.J. Brown arrives with enormous expectations. Can the star wideout be the missing piece for Drake May and the defending AFC champions? Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
It is the Drake Toll Show. Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. Drake Toll with you alongside ESPN and NBC Sports play-by-play Pete Souza. Stu Kovacs produces. Laura Jimenez runs the board. Is the SEC dead? I don't even, desperate's not even the right word anymore. Dead. Dead. 310-840.
Oh, my God, I just saw Fonzie go over a shark in a swimming pool.
310-840-4910. Sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting small businesses with affordable coverage options. Quote today at progressivecommercial.com. You can listen to the entirety of the show, the Drake Toll Show, on YouTube, the Westwood One Sports app, and SiriusXM 375. Pete last night had the call alongside Cam Stewart on ESPN for the Party Animals and Indianapolis Clowns in the Banana Ball Championship
7
League.
p.m. on ESPN, the mothership.
Baby. The mothership,
You two
man.
clowns. Like
Correct.
literally dominating
Correct.
sports television's biggest medium. Congratulations.
And in the middle of it, Jackie Bradley Jr. walk-off last night to win it 4-3 in the ninth. Awesome, man. It was awesome. Great night for the sport of banana ball. We've been chatting SEC today, and Lane Kiffin's rhetoric, Greg Sankey, the commissioner's rhetoric, Nick Saban, how each of those guys have pointed further and further toward the desperation of the SEC. You know who else is desperate today? Our biggest losers of the day. Biggest loser, number one, the New York Mets. Even the president, after the Dodgers visited the White House yesterday, took shots at the Mets. Here is Donald Trump.
So I like baseball. I like baseball. But this guy's done such a great job. You know, the Mets have the highest salary in baseball, and they lose all the time. I'm trying to... And I say, maybe we could steal this guy. But the team, the way the Atlanta Braves has been managed for years,
Just any opportunity, man.
The Braves, they're like Wall Street. The Mets are like my brother Fred, who used to come over and borrow $50.
Now that was a snippet. I stand corrected. A snippet from his speech in Atlanta from a day ago. He did have the Dodgers. He invited the Dodgers up. This could be a 30-minute conversation for some reason, but it is now. It dominates airtime. Sports teams visiting the White House. Yeah. Has it gone out of style? Are we past that era of sports, or is it still a dope thing to do to visit the president of the United States? Because now it's 50-50 on whether teams will go. Even during the Biden administration, I think the Nuggets didn't go. It's 50-50 of anybody will go during any given administration.
I don't know.
Wait, what was that? Can we play that again?
I don't know.
He's just over it, man. He's over
I think we're really drifting. Like when you hear people say, and whatever, maybe to massage a tough situation or a tense moment, like, well, you've got to go for the experience. It's the White House, regardless of who's in there. Like, look, man, you start to talk to me about museums and exhibits, I'm out, dude. I got other things I want to do with my time, depending on the exhibit. But I don't like the fact that people are talking about now we're going to the White House just to see, like, the brick and mortar. Like, yeah. You know, I like going to the White House for the history and to pay respect. It's a real interesting zone we're in with this. No question about it.
It's funny that the modern White House they're going to has the plaques underneath the old presidents. They have their plaques on that little wall. You walk to the hall, and then the addendum plaque, it's like, George Bush was an idiot. It's just on the wall actively in there. It's a different era of guys visiting the White House after winning a title. The Dodgers did so yesterday. Our biggest losers of the day. How about Ty Lawson, NBA guard, NBA player Ty Lawson, arrested for theft? Pete, this isn't the first time a former athlete, a retired athlete, has been arrested. This time it was liquor store theft. Do we have, and you as a guy who worked at a high level for the NBA for a while, do we have an issue with how we handle players that leave the game? Because I can only imagine the kind of the void that's left when you're no longer on the basketball floor.
Yeah, but I think in every single industry, like if you were to take a percentage of people that leave the industry or retire and then their life kind of gets wacky, it just happens earlier in the NBA because the chosen profession doesn't last as long. And the transition's more difficult. But the percentage, I know this from history, is not more, outsized in the NBA than it is in, sanitation. You stop working, you have more time on your hands. It's the devil's workshop. The Ty Lawson story is wild because it sounds as though he wasn't like homeless, like going into the store and stealing the vodka. He was at a restaurant, went into this store, stole the vodka, brought it back to the restaurant. And then they came in and arrested him because the woman who worked at the liquor store called police. Now, the one thing I'll say, and this is like, it's hard to have fun with this because he is like saying this is like totally racist. And he's saying it's totally based on race. And I'm wondering, like, look, the guy was wasted. He stole a vodka bottle. It's probably that simple. But I do want to be like, I'm like, all right, like maybe I don't want to come down too hard on this because it's so easy to dunk on him right now. Like, maybe there's more to the story, but, I mean, it looks real bad.
The headline, no doubt, caught some interest today. Liquor store theft for a former NBA player. Our thoughts
I
are with Ty
cannot click
Lawson.
on that story to see who the player is fast enough. I cannot click on it. I am a psycho.
It's a great headline. Our biggest losers of the day here on the Drake Toll Show. Drake Toll with you alongside Pete Souza. The Giants offensive coordinator, Matt Nagy, we heard yesterday from their head coach, John Harbaugh, who kept just saying awkwardly, the New York Giants. We're the New York Giants. What's it? Pacino, inch by inch, yard by yard in the Any Given Sunday, which doesn't hold up, by the way. Bad movie. Just not a good movie. I watched it again,
I disagree.
And it doesn't hold up.
I disagree.
Doesn't yard by yard.
I disagree. I love that movie. I love that
New York
movie.
Giants. Matt Nagy, what's going on with the Giants? He's their offensive coordinator. He walks into the introductory meeting with the team, and here's him also being sweaty and weird.
So, a few things offensively you're going to hear us talk about over and over and over. Physical, tough, smart, and detail. And you can sit there and talk about, like, the one thing we all know when teams walk off the bus, you're in pregame and you're doing your routes on air or you're stretching daily game. If you look out and you look at the other team and you could say, man, these freaking dudes, this is a physical team. We're walking into a street fight. That's going to be us. That's going to be us offensively. That's who we're going to be. That's a mindset. Physical, right? Physical. How you put that on tape and what you do is a mindset. And then there's the physicality part.
Dude, I'm freaked out right now. I think he's doing like a Brian Kelly. Now, he is from New Jersey. He's from like Middlesex, New Jersey, which is like central New Jersey. But he's going hardcore Jersey right there. Like, he's playing it up. I've never heard Matt Nagy sound more New Jersey. He didn't sound like that in Chicago. What's going on, dude?
Yeah.
And that's Hard Knocks, right? Are the Giants Hard Knocks this year?
I'm not either. They're Hard Knocks or they need to reconsider their social media and video personnel. Because the videos they're releasing right now are just not very flattering to the Giants. The players in the video, too, are just checked out. It seems like the tone was not set well by John Harbaugh, and Matt Nagy has not helped out the OC of the Giants. Final biggest loser of the day today on the Drake Toll Show. You could go a couple different directions with this one. You can give Nancy Armour the biggest loser. You can give it to USA Today. You can give it to the general reader for being so concerned with her Emmett Till comments. Now, she said in an article about Caitlin Clark receiving her 7th technical foul of the year, she somehow brought in Emmett Till and his murder and comparing, not necessarily comparing it, but putting it next to the WNBA All-Star game that's also in Chicago, Emmett Till's hometown. She has now apologized for that line. We discussed this a bit yesterday. We'll discuss it later in the show today. Nancy Armour dropping Emmett Till during an article about Caitlin Clark getting technical foul. Just that sentence alone should tell you we could have avoided this.
Well, I think it tells you that the biggest loser is traditional media, because this is the USA Today. And, before, a writer like that would have an editor with some stones or some kind of experience that would push back and be like, no, like, this is way too hyperbolic. But instead, you got a 26-year-old kid who may be like left of Stalin, who's back there like looking through this stuff and is like, oh yeah, like great, like put it forward. Like, that's not how it's done, but that's where we are now. There's no healthy conversation or back and forth about what's going out there and what is actually going to what they used to call press. And these columnists in particular, right? Because Nancy Armour has been doing this for so long.
Yeah.
How is a 25-year-old editor going to tell her what she's doing?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. So I think that's how we end up in a situation like this. And I hope we learn from it, because like, you got to have some sort of decorum and guardrails for these writers, dude. That was ridiculous, and good on you, because I'm not saying we broke the story here, but the fact of the matter is we start this 6 a.m. Eastern time every day, and you hit on it first thing in the morning, and we're like, this is ridiculous. Now, we're not like vultures, so we hit it and we kind of let it go. But you nailed this thing first thing yesterday.
It has taken on a new life. I mean, she had to apologize for it. And other outlets have picked it up. Other people are talking about it. And I don't think it is.
But she didn't apologize. She didn't. She doubled down. That was a joke. That was a joke of an apology. The only thing worse than doing something wrong is apologizing for it, but not really.
With the notes app, just kind of the notes app. Sorry, my bad. She did. She said she would provide more context, or should have. We'll get to that in a longer conversation later in the show. He is Pete Souza co-hosting. Stu Kovacs produces this week. Laura Jimenez runs the board. When we return, our obituaries. Who's dead today, including Diego Pavia's NFL career? This is the Drake Toll Show.
This is Westwood One Sports.
Oh, freaks me out. And if I need a breather, I can hit the parkway. Be home before the bars all close. Drink away the lies she told. Think about the days. She was a pure-eyed child, a rodeo queen, high school lover in a badass Jeep, far from the eyes of a watchful town. Mama didn't need to know. Good corn liquor to shake this cold, and good heart loving on a gravel road. Juliet, won't you crawl outside your window and dance in the arms of your redneck Romeo? Push came down to shove, I'd be a band for her love. Shoot sharp and walk away. She was good before she changed her name, and I bet that ain't all that's changed. Goddamn, I remember the nights. I was a young punk kid from a dried up town, Cold Car County full of hunting hounds. She was the one who kept those boys at bay. Her high heels and my red wing boots, cutting couches in the living room. Juliet, won't you crawl outside your window and dance in the arms of your redneck Romeo? Can't win for all this losing, I can't see for all this boozing. But by God, I can keep it together. Just to hold my baby close, get her moving down a county road, make up for lost time. She was a pure-eyed child, a rodeo queen. She ran on sex and gasoline. Far more money than a boy like me could hold. She went off to paint the town, and I'm stuck holding these mountains down. Juliet, won't you crawl outside your window and dance in the arms of your redneck Romeo? Won't you crawl outside your window and dance in the arms of your redneck Romeo? Me out, and if I need a breather, I can hit the parkway. Be home before the bars all close. Drink away the lies she told. Think about the days. She was a pure-eyed child, a rodeo queen, high school lover in a badass Jeep, far from the eyes of a watchful town. Mama didn't need to know. Good corn liquor to shake this cold, and good heart loving on a gravel road. Juliet,
It is the Drake Toll Show. Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. Pete Souza co-hosting. Stu Kovacs producing. Laura Jimenez runs the board. Morning, Pete.
Drake, dude, NFL teams are like all at training camp pretty much. I mean, if the veterans aren't there, the rookies are at this point. And we are like, this is like talking season is almost over. Like people are actually running around in pads and helmets. And that excites me.
Question of the day today, by the way, is, and keeping it in football, that's the beauty of a July 24th is we start to, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Do you want to know, I might lose my job. We spent less than 90 seconds on LeBron James in the first hour of the show. We're back, man. Sports are back. We did it. We did it, Joe. We did it. We're back. Everything feels that there is peace in the valley again on the LeBron James saga that has not been squashed yet as he still makes his decision. But question of the day today, and you hit this in the first segment, I thought it was pretty astute, is the SEC desperate? 310-840-4910, 310-840-4910, and college football's god and their czar of Greg Sankey. Like that's what the SEC is built to be, Olympus of college football. They've told you that. They just haven't really backed it up much, and that is now coming to pretty extreme light after the last 3 seasons. They've missed the College Football Playoff National Championship. It is the Drake Toll Show, live on the Drake Toll Show YouTube channel, Sirius XM 375.
I think real quick, Drake, part of that SEC conversation was the we're going to break away and we're going to play our own brand of college football and college basketball. And shame on me for not bringing this up the past 2 days. Like, what in the world are Kentucky basketball fans going to do if they can't play for the Final Four? Like that. Do you know how stupid that comment looks now? Like
Pete, Can I tee you up with it? Can I tee you up on this?
Yeah.
It's time for today's obituaries.
Let's go.
Dead today, Kentucky basketball in March Madness.
Think about that. Dude, you're from Arkansas. What's Coach Cal to do now? Like what's everybody to do in the state of Arkansas where Nolan Richardson put our basketball program atop college basketball by winning a national championship in Charlotte, North Carolina in 1994, basically making it a worldwide championship. So now you're going to win your divisional SEC and claim to be the champ. And by the way, an addendum to this is the rest of the country is going to be having a lot of fun. Because if the SEC were to eliminate itself and go play over here, and then all the other power conferences are playing over there, that's a rockin' party, and I think you forget about the SEC. And I think it will never happen. But, man, when I started to think about basketball yesterday, first of all, I was upset with myself for not bringing it up here. But I was just like, makes that comment even crazier and more insane. Like, that idea, it was born out of complete delusion, insanity, and desperation.
Yeah, that's a great and we would.
And by the way,
fun.
last thing, it was brought up in a board meeting at the SEC. Like Sankey basically alluded that he was pissed that it got out. Go ahead.
If the SEC leaves the NCAA, and then BYU and NC State play in the Final Four, right, of this new look March Madness, there's something to that. There's something fun to that. You know, we're going to go back. There's an era. It makes you think of like this Pat White era of West Virginia football, of Big East football. People are always like, we want to see Georgia play Ohio State every year, and that's what people show up and say. No, I want to see Pat White era West Virginia Big East football. I missed that. I liked that. I think the general viewer would agree, and there will be fatigue if the SEC decides to do its own thing. That's your honorary obituary today. Good, Pete Souza. Good. It is the Drake Toll Show. Outside linebacker for the Panthers, Nick Scourton. Scorton, we're figuring it out. Second rounder, South Carolina, 5 sacks last year. First day of training camp, tore his ACL. Oh, will miss the entirety of the 2026 season. Pete, not much to add to this one on my end. Just sucks.
Well, it's a blow. Like you mentioned it with that stat. The value around pass rushers in the NFL is paramount. And without 5 sacks, this team that was very close to kind of really moving the needle forward by having a playoff win last year takes almost a step back. It hurts this team.
Yeah. Dead today, Diego Pavia's NFL career. You and I had a spirited conversation about Tom Brady, the WWE, his future, his legacy, all. I think a guy like Diego Pavia, the Vanderbilt quarterback, who is second in Heisman voting, by the way, who helped bring Vanderbilt to prominence, who has been a loud, wily guy behind a microphone. Just he'll get up and tell you, I'm the best, I'm the greatest, I'm the guy, I'm the reason. That's a guy who hangs up the cleats, goes to the ring, goes to WWE, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's the whole thing, and becomes a star. He's found his calling. Wear a grill. He'll put the grill on, face tat, and out comes 5'6" Diego Pavia. I think hang up the football cleats, cut by the Baltimore Ravens yesterday. He was waived. Don't wave back. Just go straight to WWE.
He's a great example of by the 70s, like quarterback. Like Kenny Stabler doesn't exist anymore. Like the NFL's too good. You can't party all the time, be a hothead, and just show up on Saturdays smelling like booze, or Sundays smelling like booze and having not slept, and quote unquote, I'm going to teach my body who's boss, and put this drive down the field together, and we're going to beat the Jets. Like, no, it's not happening. The NFL's too good. Guys like Diego Pavia, like his only chance of making an NFL roster is being a choir boy. Like, sorry, dude. Like, there's no room at the end for a guy who's inconsistent personally and then undersized professionally.
I went to a rooftop bar in Nashville. This has been 4 or 5 weeks ago. And get there probably 11:30, pushing midnight. We were done with the Banana Ball game in Nashville. So we go to the hotel, quick change, go downtown, get to the rooftop. First thing, buddy of mine, he's got a table. Is like, hey man, so over there in that corner, if you want to just like mix and mingle, we need to be really complimentary and courteous to Diego Pavia and his camp. The table next to them, the Hughes brothers from the U.S. Olympic team, and then wandering to our table and then making their way into our section, Dan and Shay. And country singers Dan and Shay, I think they released a song with Justin Bieber and a couple folks. So they come to sit down, and the same guy, he's got the table, he's the one who's bought this table. He's like, hey Drake, Dan and Shay. Shake their hands, good to meet you. They walk up, it's probably 20 minutes passes. That guy, the dude who bought the table, walks up to me. He's like, can I ask you a question? He's like, yeah, what's going on, man? He's like, which one's Dan and which one's Shay? So, now that's a real Sophie's choice there.
By the way, are we lucky here to have the namesake of our show share stories with us about VIP lounges and nights with Dan and Shay and Diego Pavia? This is rich.
Diego Pavia. Rooftop bar, downtown Nashville. We didn't throw any chairs. We kept it tame between the navigation.
Were Dan and Shay cool?
Awesome, man. One of them, Dan or Shay, had the Uber app pulled up for like 43 minutes, just staring at it, just waiting. It's like, who's ready?
That's like me.
Anybody ready?
That sounds like me.
Yeah, he's like, anybody. It's 2:14 in the morning. Anybody ready? That was following the party animals and tailgaters out in Nashville a few weeks ago. Final obituary today. You know what? I want to call out Stu. Stu has in our obituaries, a bear has died after getting stuck on top of a utility pole after rescuers deemed it too risky to intervene. What the hell, Stu? That's like the saddest story ever, man. What are you putting him in the obituaries for?
We have to talk about stuff that is better. I don't know.
Drake, did you read the last part?
It's the
Stu, the animal was electrocuted.
It's a terrible
The animal was electrocuted before the power could be shut off.
He climbed the power line. Rescuers like, well, we can't do anything. The bear's just up there now. And they let the bear die. And Stu was like, damn, man. The world needs to know. We got to obituary this guy.
Stuart Kovac stars in Cocaine Bear 2.
I I thought you were going to use the bullhorn to implore the bear to get down. Please come down safely. That would have also been a really good bit. Would have been a really good bit.
Mr. Bear, Butters the bear, please come down. Butters,
that's great.
Get the trampoline, just jump on it. Please come down.
Your final obituary of the day. Dead today, the lack of Jake Paul's NFL career. He wants to play in the National Football League. Here's what he had to say on his NFL aspirations.
Just like when I started boxing, it's funny to see the tweet and deleters out there, the non-believers, the naysayers. Shout out to Drake. I think there's a lot of super mediocrity in the NFL, a lot of not good athletes, a lot of people dropping passes on a consistent basis. I have better hands than them. I'm faster than them. I'm stronger than them. I work harder than them. Really all it's going to take is just me after boxing, practicing some routes. I have a couple teams and coaches that I've already talked to that are interested in bringing me onto the team. It's really going to be quite easy.
Well, there's no way any of that is real.
I mean, dude, I think for him it might be. I mean, he's the P.T. Barnum of drumming up complete nonsensical PR. And we're talking about it. He is the best at that. And I can live with that because that's his corner. And that's why I lose my mind when Tom Brady drifts over there and starts acting like that, because he doesn't need that. Jake needs that. That's who he is.
Jake Paul, the NFL player.
Shout out to Drake.
PT, shout out to you. It's on me. That's on me. Those are your obituaries today. Time for the quickie. Top 5 headlines in all of sports. Stu Kovacs reads them. Drake and Pete respond. Pete, you take number 1.
All right. We had Lane Kiffin speaking at SEC Media Days on Thursday for the first time as LSU head coach, and he reflected on his time at Ole Miss, and he revealed that he has gotten off of social media. Pete?
Well, I love it because I think he actually helped us yesterday because he told a story about what his life has been like since he got off social media, and it was actually pretty helpful, and it made me, whenever I'm thinking about something, and I'm like, could I quit social media? And then I get anxious inside. Like I freak out, like the fight or flight kicks in. I'm like, dude, I probably need to chill on this. And then he talked more about how, it's improved his quality of life. And he mentioned when he got done at a yoga class, he had to crowbar that in, earlier that day, that everybody was on their phones the moment they got done. Like it was crazy addict behavior. They just scattered like cockroaches back to wherever their bags were and got right on their phones. Interesting take on society. I think that was probably the most positive thing that came out of any of the stuff that came out of Lane's mouth yesterday.
All right, the other notable team to speak yesterday was Texas, and their edge rusher Colin Simmons had this to say about Arch Manning. He said, quote, "We need a different side of Arch if we want to get somewhere." So Arch definitely brought that side of him out, and I feel like as long as we trust him and believe in him as a team and never look past him or look down at him, we're going to be okay. Drake?
I think we forget Arch Manning's a really good quarterback. And,
I do.
Maybe that's me projecting a bit on the rest of the country, but I as of week 5 last year, I was thinking bust. I think we all were considering that Arch Manning that Ohio State game was a disaster. He's just spiking the ball to the ground. I mean, it was a disaster in his first true marquee moment as the Texas quarterback. And then if you just bottle up what he did the last 6 weeks of the year, he was a top 5 quarterback in college football. And we left that behind because his last name's Manning. If he carries himself super well, if his last name was Clark and he did what he did last season, we're talking about the Clark kid being a top 3 quarterback in college football this year. Now, I know the outlets, ESPN or CBS, they still have Manning as the first, second, third best quarterback somewhere out there with Dante Moore. I understand the outlets are pretty good at ranking this stuff and putting Manning up there, giving him his flowers. I think we as the public need to remember, yes, struggled, no doubt. Still a damn good quarterback, and Texas will be just fine with him. Thanks, Stu.
All right, we had Ravens. They waived rookie quarterback Diego Pavia after signing him as an undrafted free agent in April. Pavia was the first Heisman Trophy finalist in 12 years to go undrafted, and now he looks for a new job. Pete?
That's all you need to know. I mean, that stat right there or note right there is all you need to know. Again, this reminds me like when I was, I went to Richmond to play football, and we had this quarterback, Doug Stofflin, and he was an amazing athlete. Like, he was a all-star, all-state lacrosse player. You watch the guy on the field, he would just drive the team up and down in practice, dart, dart, dart. But he would go and he enjoyed his extracurriculars after practice, and the coaches knew that. And they never were going to give Doug a chance to play because Doug was just not what they were looking for as far as stability and maturity. And I always wonder what it would have been like if he would have gotten a chance. I think I'll wonder about Pavia too. Like, is he just a guy that regardless of what he's doing off the field or how he practices, you can just put him in there and he's a winner? We won't know anymore. Like the 70s, 80s, that's over, obviously. But you can't get the gunslinger that lives like a wild man on the field. It just never happens anymore.
All right, we are less than 2 weeks away from the MLB trade deadline, and Tigers ace Tarek Skubal said that his preference is to finish the season with Detroit and to compete for a championship with the Tigers. Drake.
Yeah, the whole competing for a championship thing is not going to pan out for the Detroit Tigers this year. Now, they're at least in the hunt in the AL Central because the AL is so dismal, and it wouldn't be stunning if the Tigers went on a run and were in postseason contention, but I don't see them. They're not championship caliber. They haven't been championship caliber. Even if they get completely healthy, I don't think they're championship caliber. I don't even know if they're playoff caliber. They haven't proven it. They haven't proven it in 2026. Skubal's a trade piece. If he is traded, it shows the Tigers are not serious about contending this season or next season. I'm looking at squads like the Boston Red Sox, who feel really confident right now, who will want to add trade pieces, bolster their catcher position. I'm looking at the Yankees, who could grab another arm. Somebody in the AL West has to make a move before this August 3rd trade deadline. The AL needs to shake up because it really sucks right now.
All right, last one here. Cardinals quarterback Jacoby Brissett participated in the team's first practice of training camp on Thursday, and the two sides have had productive contract talks, according to new head coach Mike LaFleur. Pete?
Jacoby, get your rear end to practice. Do what your coaches tell you to do. I do not want you to look back on this time in your life 20 years from now and say, man, I wish I was a little bit more appreciative of the opportunity I had in the NFL. I got a chance to start. I was productive. And then I got sideways about money and contract and status, and I blew my chance at being a regular, everyday starter for, the undetermined future, because I was all filled up with all this hate and resentment towards the organization. I think he's blowing an opportunity here. He doesn't have the wiggle room to act like a diva.
Is that it, Stu?
That's it. That's
all
fine.
Right. Thanks, Stu. That was a quickie. Top 5 headlines in all of sports from Stu Kovacs, who produces today. Laura Jimenez runs the board. Pete Souza co-hosts. When we return, what are you smoking? Not turf. No. The NFL players, they want grass. It is Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. This is the Drake Toll Show.
The 49ers start training camp tomorrow. Future Hall of Famer Mike Evans joins a talented roster. Can San Francisco stay healthy and finish the job to secure their 6th Super Bowl title? Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes.
Black masses, evil minds that plot destruction, sorcerer of death construction, in the feels the bodies burning as the war machine keeps turning. Death and hatred
At the
to
tone,
mankind,
the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
poisoning their brainwashed minds. Oh, Lord, yeah.
Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Now in darkness, world stops turning. Ashes where the body's burning. No more war pigs have the power. And as God has struck the hour. Day of judgment, God is calling. Underneath the war pigs crawling.
It is the Drake Toll Show. Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. Drake Toll with you from the Savannah Bananas organization. Locked on Big 12. There's Pete Souza co-hosting. Stu Kovacs produces. Laura Jimenez runs the board. Grass, huh? NFL players want grass. And it's an injury issue. That's the claim here. On our very own network, Josh Graham, Westwood One Sports, man. If there's any, I called Josh Graham in a Kroger. This is probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. And Josh said, I ever told you the story of getting Barack Obama on my show? It's like, what the hell, Josh? But he's just that guy, man. He's a grinder. Like any given day, he's got the most random person you've ever heard on his show as a guest. He's just that good. And he had Nick Pappas, who is the NFL's director of he's their field director. He's the grass guy. Here is what Nick said on Josh Graham's show about the idea that in the NFL, these players are safer on grass than turf.
When we look at, the non-contact lower extremity injury rate for playing football, when we divide it out by surface, we see no statistical significance. So no change. The injury rate on grass is the same as the injury rate on artificial surfaces. I think a key thing to keep in mind, though, is we also look a little bit deeper, not just at the frequency of the injury happening, but also the severity of the injury. So when we look at, we're looking at those as well and assessing them. And year over year, we see a split that flip-flops back and forth, whether it's, more ACLs on grass this year or more ACLs on grass last year, and this year it's on artificial. It jumps back and forth a lot. We don't see we don't see the surface being the driver of those time loss acute injuries.
Pete, do you care?
Do you think it might be the faster, bigger, stronger behemoth of men who are racing around a field at 90 miles an hour running into each other? Could that be the cause of the injury?
Wow.
I know we like to point the blame all over the place today in society. I get it. But they're not necessarily playing on the turf at Veterans Stadium anymore, right? It's not concrete. It's okay. In the NFL, as much as we think they're the big bad boogeyman, wouldn't be marching their players out there to continue to play on this turf if everyone was getting hurt because of it.
And that's the grass conversation today. Nice job, everybody. Good. Nailed it. I'm glad we got to that. It's been in the rundown for 3 days. I'll get to it. So we'll get around there. Stu Kovacs he's passionate on the issue. The NFL, I think you're exactly right. Now that everybody's 300 pounds and runs a 4.2, crashing into each other, you're probably going to be injured more often.
You're going to get hurt playing on the moon, dude. Sorry. Wherever you go, you're going to have the same results. Wherever you go, there you are.
I will not hurt myself.
He is Pete Souza. It is the Drake Toll Show. Pete co-hosts today. Drake Toll with you. This is a fun one out of the NFL as well. Fernando Mendoza has finally inked his deal with the Raiders. 4 years, $57.27 million, fully guaranteed contract with a fifth-year option. Now, that rocks for Fernando Mendoza. The dude just got paid. But with a payday like that, you have got to win. You have got to produce in the National Football League. And the pressure of the dollar sign is now mounted even further for Fernando Mendoza.
He's got to play. First of all,
right.
The key is, if they thought enough of him to draft him number 1 overall. He's got to win that job, and it's got to come sooner than later. And going back to the Arch Manning discussion, I love how Arch played through a lot of those rough times. Look, man, they're coming at some point, like it or not. You might as well start your repetition now and get to the other side. Let's experience the brutality of an NFL season. Let's give the Raiders the best shot to win. Now, if Kirk Cousins completely wins the job in camp, I understand it, because you're almost doing right by guys like Max Crosby. They want to, let's give us our best chance to win.
Right.
The biggest, what would be egregious would be if Mendoza were the better quarterback in camp, but they go with Kirk Cousins because they want him to learn the offense and they don't want to expose him. I think that's nonsense. I think the guy has got to play. And you've got to do a good job as the Raiders to surround him with people that will protect him and not get him killed. And if he goes out there and he has a bad experience and he gets killed, that's on you. It really is.
Can I take you back to one of the best rookie quarterbacks? And you and I both have spent time around this guy. I love him or hate him, feel weird about his rhetoric. That's fine. But one of the best rookie quarterbacks to touch the field is Robert Griffin III. Now, leg is blown up, and the Washington Redskins at the time forced him to still go out there and play. Hey, you got one working leg, man. Get out there and try your best. And it in essence ruins his career. I mean, he was so banged up his first 2 seasons that he never really recovered from that. But RG3 was one of the great producing rookie quarterbacks that we've seen in the modern era. Do you need Fernando Mendoza to have that kind of output, like a playoff caliber output, an RG3 Rookie of the Year output, to be a success with this kind of number? With this kind of, again, I'm going to go back to that dollar sign next to his name.
No, because that's not how you build a winner. You just need him to go out there. 9-7 would be like out of this world, right? Or 9-8.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and even 8-9, whatever. Like 2 wins less than that would be great. He just needs to go out there and play. He needs to go out there and play. He needs to experience it firsthand. Nothing film can do. Nothing practice can do. Can get you ready for those game situations. And he's got to go through that because, as Peyton Manning said to his father, and this is one of my favorite NFL stories. Peyton threw more interceptions, I think, than anybody else ever in a season his rookie year. And he's leaving the stadium, like RCA Dome at the time, whatever, in Indianapolis. And he just says to his father, Dad, nobody's open. And, like, you got to experience that, man. You've got to go through that. And I think that's why he needs to play.
Fernando Mendoza. What a deal. 4 years, $57.3 million, fully guaranteed contract with the Raiders. It is the Drake Toll Show, Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. The question of the day today, by the way, out of the SEC, is the Southeastern Conference desperate? Is this league done? Are they dead? 310-840-4910. You can call or text the show, 310-840-4910. We'll cover that the last hour and a half of the program pretty closely. And you can listen to the entire show, not just the last hour and a half, on the Drake Toll Show YouTube channel, Sirius XM 375 and the Westwood One Sports app. Pete, let me take you to Hartford, Connecticut for a moment, if I may. Last night,
please,
7 o'clock Eastern time, ESPN. A guy that you and I know pretty closely, Cameron Stewart. Cam and I were tour guides together in Waco, Texas. Little sprinter vans showing people around the town, around the Brazos, El Rio de los Brazos de Dios, which is the river in Waco. And we'd show folks around the city. And now 5 years later, we got to call a game, primetime ESPN last night. And so the personal side of this is just hearing a guy, one of my best friends in the world, get to do play-by-play on ESPN. Just rocks. That's a dude's rock moment. But the game was even better. Jackie Bradley Jr., an hour and a half away from Boston, getting to have a quasi-homecoming. Ton of Red Sox fans in the venue last night. And, boy, did we have a ball game. So in Banana Ball, every inning counts as a point. You win the inning, you get the point. You can walk innings off, in essence, right? The home team scores a run, visiting team didn't, the inning's over. You won it. It's the 8th. 2-1 Party Animals ahead. Clowns home game. Nico Holsizer steps to the plate. We're about to go to the 9th inning, tied.
Got a ball four sprint somewhere in there in his career. Nico Holsizer, look out, New York City. Uncle Nico sends that one into orbit for his 10th homer of the year and a walk-off in the 8th. We are tied.
Now,
Cam Stewart meets the moment, dude.
Here's how good Cam is. He knows that to left field, if you keep going as the crow flies, you'll get to New York City. Then about an hour and 48 minutes up the line is New York City. So Cam hits you with Nico Holsizer, New York City. Wait for this. Top of the 9th inning. First batter, a guy named Chase Acuff, shortstop for the Party Animals of the Banana Ball Championship League. Tie ball game, 2-2. This is the very next pitch of the ball game. Here you go.
The Animals can go to their golden batter here. They will not for Chase Acuff, and that's mighty wise. You see why? Chase Acuff leads it off with a dinger. Just like that, the Party Animals take the lead right back. You cannot blink.
3-2. The new
I
score.
can tell you guys may have worked together at one point in time or another.
Gosh, man.
I mean, me and my friends, when we were your age, we were trying to figure out who was going to drive to get the weed. I mean, you and Cam.
You don't have to anymore.
I got to tell you.
It's just next door now. We pulled up the ballpark yesterday. They got the big weed shop. It's like all cap. Yeah. You can walk to them now.
The weed.
They're everywhere. They're everywhere. Yeah, so it's 3-2. Back-to-back pitches, home runs, and 3-2 now. In the 9th inning, every run counts as a point. So the Party Animals are now ahead by a point. Bottom of the 9th. The golden batter rule in Banana Ball. See, in basketball, LeBron's got the ball in his hands in a late game situation. Football, Patrick Mahomes has the ball in his hands. Soccer, get the ball to Messi. In baseball, your 7-hole hitter, it's just got to be that guy. Banana ball, you can insert the golden batter. So you come to the end of the lineup here. The Clowns wanted to go to Jackie Bradley Jr., the big leaguer who walks up a 1-point deficit. It's
former Boston Red Sox, right? Playing in
Boston
Hartford.
Red Sox. Here's what JBJ does.
Second in the league in hits for Jackie Bradley Jr. How good has he been as a rookie?
Up the middle with a vapor trail. 2 singles in the inning. The golden batter keeps the line moving to get to the top of the Clowns order in Joe Gray Jr.
Here's what's wild, Pete. You're at Joe Gray Jr., the 1-hole hitter. Guess who's batting the 2-hole? Jackie Bradley Jr.
Okay.
So Joe Gray comes up. He hits a little pop-up, little flare. And Jackie Bradley Jr. comes back to the plate a couple batters later, 9th inning, and has an opportunity to walk the ball game off. Here is Jackie Bradley Jr., the Indianapolis Clown, in banana ball with the game on the line.
JBJ into center field. Jackie Bradley Jr. is the hero in Hartford. Down in the 8th, down in the 9th, the Cardiac Clowns come back and win it.
Yeah.
Wow, I gotta tip the cap, man. You guys sound amazing, and people need to remember this was primetime ESPN, and these are 2 guys who were showing people around Waco, Texas, for an outfit called Waco Tours. Right. By the way, you got to check out. Go to Drake's Instagram and check it out. You would think these 2 have been lovers for 8 years. Like, you should have put pictures. Cam's engaged. You live with your girlfriend. Like, you missed an opportunity there, Drake, at the end, just so we could scroll through and be like, oh, okay. You guys are about to rocket to the top of social media later today when speculation around your romantic relationship hits. Like,
we're gonna have
could
to do
you imagine?
Piazza. We're gonna have to do a press conference. Just
Like,
we've heard the
honestly,
rumors.
People got to check out this Instagram post because you would think, like, man, and think about what that would do if you were rope-a-doping the rest of America. But like, oh, and they're lovers? This is the most amazing. So you guys will be on Good Morning America tomorrow, but it doesn't matter because you were on ESPN last night. Honestly,
summer story.
That was an amazing. Those were amazing pieces of sound. I'm so impressed with how good Cam was, just because I know Cam, and I don't mean to go inside baseball, but you know, Cam's been hammering away trying to catch a break, and boy, he's caught one. He sounded great.
Yeah,
Thank you, President Trump.
Both sides of this is the one side of, man, it's just awesome, great game in general, great banana ball game and a showcase on ESPN. The other side, personal interest story. Buddy of ours gets to just do play-by-play on ESPN and nails the moment last night. It is the Drake Toll Show.
One more TV question,
Yeah,
just because you know
come
I
on,
do play-by-play. And it's funny because whether you're calling a game on NBC or ESPN, if you're me, it's sometimes it's tough to get feedback, and sometimes it's better not to hear anything at all. Do you guys get, like, after a game like that, will you get a call from either someone inside the Bananas organization or maybe even a producer that you work with on site that'll be like, you know, last night's call was exceptional? Because honestly, I would think you guys really did right by the Bananas last night because that's on a huge stage, and it's very clear you guys met the moment. That is a very positive thing, I would think, for the Bananas and for ESPN in that marriage.
Yeah, so we do what's called an LCP, a Learn, Create, Plus. And so we sit down and have 3 distinct categories of notes that almost everybody in the company does post-game. That's how we grew. That's how we've grown so fast, is we do intense notes, mostly negative, how to get better for the night. You know, the positives in there, but we are tight with notes. And after every game, I'll get a list of, 15 things to work on to get, like for our broadcast production, for the play-by-play, for the color analyst, for all of this. We do pretty intense meetings after every game because we're startup mentality, total startup mentality. So, but at the same time, we run so fast that it's almost like the compliments are if you're going to spend time on a compliment, you got to mean it. Like it's going to be, we're great at saying no for the betterment of the product. If you get a compliment, you take that and you run with it, which has fostered a pretty cool community of us all understanding that professionalism, that perfection is impossible and excellence is imperative. That's the goal. That's what it has to be. It's what it is every night. It's good, Pete. Thanks. It was fun. It was
cool.
great.
It's very, very cool.
Great.
It's very cool.
Cool to hear Cam. He nailed it last night. It is Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app.
Is he back in the room behind you Right now,
we're
is he in the
roommates.
other
Yeah.
bed?
Say hi, Cam. There you go. Come on. He's flushed the toilet.
He's in your bed.
It is almost August. Football is back, and on August 1st and 2nd, NFL teams across the league take the field for Back Together Weekend, presented by YouTube TV, with 2 full days of practices, player interviews, and behind-the-scenes access. Can't miss NFL reunion. Back Together Weekend, presented by YouTube TV, August 1st and 2nd. Go to NFL.com/BackTogetherWeekend for more information. Pete Souza co-hosting, Stu Kovacs producing, Laura Jimenez runs the board. When we come back, our Idiot of the Day. This is the Drake Toll Show.
Patriots training camp opens today. A.J. Brown arrives with enormous expectations. Can the star wideout be the missing piece for Drake May and the defending AFC champions? Westwood One Sports.
She's a rich girl, she don't try to hide it. Diamonds on the soles of her shoes. He's a poor boy, empty as a pocket, with nothing to lose. Sing ta-na-na, ta-na-na-na. She got diamonds on the soles of her shoes.
At the Tone, the broadcast will begin
Ta-na-na,
4 minutes, 30 seconds.
ta-na-na. She got diamonds on the soles of her shoes. 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 Diamonds on the soles of her shoes.
At the Tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes.
People say she's crazy, she got diamonds on the soles of her shoes. Well, that's one way to lose these walking blues. Diamonds on the soles of your shoes.
At the Tone, the broadcast
She
will
was
begin in 3
physically
minutes and 30
forgotten, but then
seconds.
she slipped into my pocket with my car keys. She said, you've taken me for granted because I pleased you. Wearing these diamonds. And I could say, ooh, as if everybody knows what I'm talking about. As if everybody here would know exactly what I was talking about. I'm talking about diamonds on the soles of her shoes. She makes the sign of a teaspoon, he makes the sign of a wave. The poor boy changes clothes and he puts on aftershave to compensate for his ordinary shoes. And she said, honey, take me dancing, but they ended up by sleeping in a doorway by the bodegas and the lights on over Broadway, wearing diamonds on the soles of their shoes. And I could say, ooh, and everybody here would know what I was talking about. I mean, everybody here would know exactly what I was talking about. I'm talking about diamonds. People say I'm crazy, I got diamonds on the soles of my shoes, yeah. Well, that's one way to lose these walking blues. Diamonds on the soles of my shoes. Ta-na-na-na, 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 ta-na-na-na.
The Drake Toll Show. Westwood One Sports. The Westwood One Sports app. Drake Toll with you from the Savannah Bananas organization. Locked on Big 12. And there he is, co-hosting ESPN and NBC Sports play-by-play Pete Souza. Stu Kovacs producing. Laura Jimenez runs the board. Happy Friday, everybody. I mean, I've neglected this. It's your Friday. Like Fridays, it's the best. You go to work, and work doesn't even feel like work because it's Friday. And then tomorrow's Saturday, and you're off. And then Sunday is Sunday, and the Sunday scaries hit you, obviously. So Sunday's not even really that cool. But Friday's awesome. Saturday rocks. You can go hang out at the bar tonight, go to a restaurant. It's Friday. And in the middle of July, man, I promise the listeners this, that on the Drake Toll Show, no Mount Rushmores, no Power Rankings. You know, like Power Rankings. Favorite books by J.K. Rowling. Yeah, like I'm not going to rank the Harry Potter series. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do it. And we've stood by that. We stand by it again today as we bring you into today's Idiots of the Day.
Idiot of the Day.
Here are the headlines, the biggest idiots in the last 24 hours. Pete, you'll like this one. Jeff Teague thinks that Kyle Korver was a better shooter than Reggie Miller. It's a real quote. Was a better shooter than Reggie Miller. Quote, I'm an all-star. All I can do is shoot. I can't even dribble. If I have one wide open three, I'll pick Kyle Korver over Reggie Miller. I think Jeff Teague is off his rocker.
Well, I worked with Kyle. He was in Philly when I was there. And he's as like the best guy there possibly is. Comes from an amazing family. And you lump that in with, obviously we all know that Kyle's a handsome guy. And I think this is another great example in the history of time where we show that men are visual creatures. Not that Jeff Teague has a crush on Kyle Korver, but Kyle Korver's aesthetics and amazing personality played into this quote. I think Jeff Teague doesn't even understand what's going on inside of him right now. And that is an insane statement, but I think it's pure. I think he believes that because of his relationship with Korver, having played together, and just like, you know, Korver's he's like a model.
He is a good-looking dude. He's a very good-looking dude. Idiot of the day, Alex Call of the LA Dodgers, who kicked Shohei Ohtani in the elbow, jumping over dugout railing. Just spikes to the elbow. Jumps over. Talking Baseball did a good job of covering this. Shohei's been a bit. He's had his injury issues in the past. Pete, our spatial awareness has to be a little bit better than kicking the greatest player in baseball directly in the right elbow.
Yeah, it does, and you need to kind of get it under control. And you should probably hear something from your organization about that. Like, you've got to make sure you take care of the golden calf, and that is Shohei Ohtani. And so, just to be out there throwing your limbs around. Putting your literally franchise in harm's way. I mean, we've never seen someone start a seventh game of the World Series as the most dangerous hitter in the lineup and also as the pitcher. I think this is a great story. I think it's hilarious. But, yeah, I mean, it almost makes you feel like you got to put Ohtani in bubble wrap because he's that good. And you don't even – I would just, like, have him live at Dodger Stadium if I was the Dodgers ownership. But, you know, you can't do that.
Idiot of the day. Let's give it to term limits. That's correct. The guy who's been president twice now, Donald Trump, teases another run at the Oval Office.
All these buildings, plants, factories that we're talking about start opening up. All I know is I'd like to be the next president because I'm going to make somebody look very good. They're going to sit there and all this stuff is going to be opening and they're going to be saying what a genius they are. That happened with Biden.
We need to get somebody to do AI with like Trump talking like he's LeBron, you know? Well, you know what they say, trust the process. Gonna trust the process. He's like teasing, you know, where he's gonna go all the time. Like, except for Trump scaring the crap out of everybody with the term limits thing. You never know.
Yeah. That's great.
I doubled the size of it, you dumb person.
Idiot of the day, the Richmond Flying Squirrels pyrotechnics team. Look, men, women, children. You're riding the bus right now. You're driving to work. You're sitting in the cubicle. You've got, I mean, I wish it's radio, otherwise we could show you. The Richmond Flying Squirrels last night. It's a minor league team in Richmond. Did a fireworks show post-game yesterday. It malfunctioned to the point it shot fireworks into the stands. And to our knowledge, no one is injured based on this. But Pete reminds me of 4th of July when I was 11 years old. We got one of those, you know those little, you get the canisters like 128 and they just pop. They're the small, they just shoot up the little missiles. 128 of them, you light it up and they just pop, 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 pop. They all fly up at once. You know what I'm talking about? Are we on the same page here?
I know exactly what you're talking about, especially the more time I've spent in this region of the country, growing up in Philadelphia, living now in Texas. It's different down here. Like, you guys are all about just like the homemade fireworks, or I say that like, you know, but shooting them off at home. My in-laws have this huge farm here in North Texas, and my wife is like 3 drinks deep, like a pyrotechnics expert, lighting fireworks. I'm like, what is happening here? I think in like 50 years, like, or 60 years, like, they'll look back at this time and they'll be like, I can't believe they were shooting off fireworks. Like, that is crazy.
Yep.
And my favorite part is that no one was injured, they said in the statement, CBS 6 in Richmond. How about the squirrels? I think they were injured.
Where are the squirrels? They're flying. They flew away. I was probably 11 years old. Those little missiles. My father, Arkansas, was like, he got a deal. $500 worth of fireworks for $100. We did have to order it from China. But his theory was, it's from China. They know fireworks better than anyone. This has to work. There was a malfunction, and instead of shooting up, they shot out. So it became a, 23-person sprint for your life, like diving behind cars, try to like duck and hide, survive at this point. After the dust settles, there's 128 missiles, these little bullets that went off all around the place. I mean, I walked, 11-year-old kid in Arkansas. I was like, that was awesome. Let's do it again. And so the rest of the week, we sent the moms all went in the house. The dads and the sons stayed outside. And we shot these malfunctioning fireworks the rest of it. It's one of my favorite 4th of July memories
You
ever.
guys are insane.
We hit a kid.
And these are smart people we're talking about. Like, my wife's family, okay, let me talk about the family I know. They're a bunch of engineers.
You can speak for yourself here, yeah.
Yeah. These people are extremely bright, like soup to nuts. But, like, you give them fireworks, and they're out there shooting them off like they're qualified to do this stuff. And, here I am, a guy who I haven't drank in almost 15 years. That was my thing. My family, we would just get hammered and drive around. So we weren't better over here. But, like, the fireworks stuff, I'm just like, good Lord. We need some guardrails here, as they say with college football.
Yep. Well, the Richmond Flying Squirrels, a malfunction of their post-game fireworks that sent the fireworks into the stands. Doesn't get much crazier than that. And our final idiot of the day, Brandon Ayuk reveals that he's purchased a home in Northern Virginia. Brandon, you sit down when I tell you this. He is a wide receiver for the 49ers. You're not going to play with the Commanders. He believes fervently he will play with the Commanders. Brandon, you're not going to play with the Commanders.
Nobody cares.
He makes Antonio Brown look like, somebody who's got their stuff together.
You got to make it stop, Brandon. You got to make it stop. Let's not go, Brandon. Let's not go. He is Pete Souza. ESPN and NBC Sports play-by-play. Laura Jimenez running the board, and Stu Kovacs producing. When we come back, let's talk WNBA, Caitlin Clark, the Emmett Till situation. What the hell does any of that have to do with each other, as well as Lane Kiffin? Is the SEC dead? 310-840-4910, 310-840-4910. Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. This is the Drake Toll Show.
This is Westwood One Sports.
The Tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
They say I'm crazy, but I have a good time. I'm just looking for clues at the scene of the crime. Life's been good to me so far. My Maserati does.
At the Tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes.
I lost my license, now I don't drive. I have a limo right in the back. I lock the doors in case I'm attacked. I'm making records, my fans, they can't wait. They write me letters, tell me I'm great. So I got me an office, gold records on the wall. Just leave a message.
is the Drake Toll Show. Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. Drake Toll with you from the Savannah Bananas organization, locked on Big 12, and right here on Westwood One Sports. Pete Souza, co-host, Stu Kovacs producing. Laura Jimenez runs the board. You know, we spent a lot of time in the front half of the show talking about the SEC, Lane Kiffin, the Southeastern Conference wanting to leave the NCAA, and coaches and analysts saying that wins don't matter, but the pie-in-the-sky strength of schedule does. And what that seems like is cope. They are trying to cope, the SEC is, with having not gone to the national championship game the last 3 years. It'll be a big point of conversation as we push through the final hour of the Drake Toll Show today. 310-840-4910. Question of the day, 310-840-4910. Is the SEC dead? Now, Pete, before we talk to Chris Gordy of Locked On SEC at 8:20 Eastern time here, one thing that I woke up this morning, and this wasn't inherently in our rundown. We hadn't discussed going deep on this in the show, but I want to, because it kind of blew up yesterday, and I thought that you put it so perfectly earlier today. The Nancy Armour situation, where she wrote an article about Caitlin Clark's 7th technical foul, where she made comparisons to Emmett Till. This is one of the most famous examples of lynching, and kind of as close as you can get to the modern era of lynching, by the way. And somehow it snuck into an article about Caitlin Clark. You made a great point. We discussed this yesterday morning. And at that point in time, it had not hit the news cycle. And there's a world in which we just kind of threw it to the wayside. Nobody talks about it. It almost blew up over the course of yesterday. And I want to tee this up by giving full context. So Caitlin Clark, 7th technical foul of the year. If she gets her 8th, she'll be suspended. In an article about this for USA Today, Nancy Armour writes the following. And this is a little lengthy, but boy, follow along. She says, "It shouldn't need reminding this country has an awful history of black people being harmed." Yes. Why is this in the Caitlin Clark article? Even killed in the name of, quote, defending white women. The WNBA's All-Star Game, she writes, this weekend is in Chicago, Emmett Till's hometown. And a local art gallery is currently hosting an exhibit imagining his life if he hadn't been lynched. While it's incumbent on the WNBA to do more to protect its players, there's also an expectation on Clark to recognize the wider consequences of her actions. Pete, I'm doing a transitive property here. We just said Caitlin Clark got a technical foul. Emmett Till got lynched. There's an exhibit about it at the home of the All-Star Game. Caitlin Clark should be careful. What the hell does any of that mean?
Well, it means that Nancy Armour has been a journalist for 35 years covering sports, right? 20 for the AP, and I think 15 for USA Today. I mean,
and we haven't gone after her, right? I think we've done a good job of playing it down the middle here, yeah?
Well, allow me to hold my Diet Coke this morning.
All right.
Yesterday we touched on it, and you did a great job. You know, first thing in the morning, we're here on the air, and you were like, "This is strange. It's weird." You know, there was no vitriol, so it was very fair. I thought the assessment of it. After having some time, I just get more frustrated with the landscape of news and how it's produced, how it's put together. Clearly, this is a woman with 35 years of experience who operates under no accountability for her over at the USA Today. It seems, at least. A story like that, a column like that, typically you'd like multiple sets of eyes on that, right? So you're telling me that all three people were like, yeah, go ahead, push send. And not only is it something that you're pouring gasoline on an already out of control, uncomfortable fire that separates society, it's also just a bad take. It's like a total reach.
Oh yeah.
Like it's just lame. And somewhere Skip Bayless is like the Sophie Cunningham meme, like pointing at Nancy Armour, like, I see you. I know what you were up to over there. Like, not bad. But I think it's egregious, and I think it's a shame, and I think that it bums me out that we're so far apart. And Nancy Armour is clearly on the fringe. And just like the guys who we mentioned called me up this weekend on Westwood One and told me that Caitlin Clark was Jackie Robinson. What we're doing by bringing all this up, I think, is we're totally neglecting what black people really went through. Like, don't compare any of that to this.
Yeah.
This is women's basketball. Like, come on, dude. We're in the toy department. And yes, it is unfortunate that some of these women.
I want to protect you there, Pete. You're not saying women's basketball is the toy department, just basketball. We're in
No,
sports.
thank you. Yes.
Is the toy department.
Yes. Sports is the toy department. And what's unfortunate is the lunatic fringe, the people who have been messaging, Caitlin Clark's opponents, like awful, abhorrent stuff. Like, there's got to be a way we can find these people, round them up, and shoot them to the moon. Like, seriously, like, those people are awful people. But it's a very small, like, fringe sect of society, but they have this voice through social media. We all know that. I just, like, I hate how hyperbolic we are on both sides. And there's a middle ground where we all come together, watch sports together, and enjoy it. But, man, like, these people on the edges are really, they're upsetting. They really are. And for Nancy Armour and a major publication to, honestly, now you could say they're putting Caitlin Clark at risk if you want to go that route.
Yeah.
And so it's irresponsible.
I agree with that. The Drake Toll Show, by the way, at Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app here, Pete Souza co-hosting. I'm trying to think
Drake's
of examples.
Like, that was Pete that was just saying all that stuff. I'm Drake.
But this is good. I'm trying to think of an example of if, Lionel Messi, like, post-match when Argentina played England, okay? Argentina held up a sign that said Las Malvinas es Argentinas, effectively the Falklands, as we would call them, belong to Argentina. And I wouldn't write an article being like, hey, Argentina should be careful. Remember the whole Nazi thing? Oh, watch it. Like, when the World Cup comes around and the German national team wins the World Cup, no one's like, damn, man, really disrespectful for them winning the World Cup here because, the whole Hitler situation. Like, there's not a world on the international stage where we draw comparisons to atrocities, and like, we try to keep the sports to the sports as much as we can internationally. And these are countries who have gone to war with each other over genocide, over terrible, incredibly bad human crimes. And in a game where Caitlin Clark earns a technical foul for a reporter to then go directly toward, yes, and remember when Emmett Till was lynched? This is similar. Like, those don't belong in the same conversation. They don't belong in the same article. Now, I want to double down on something you said earlier, Pete. This might be a bigger indictment on journalism today, and not even at Nancy. Nancy writes this 23 years ago, right? As a younger reporter working at the AP, it gets to her first copy editor. And they're like, what the hell is happening, Nancy?
Yes.
And she might be frustrated that they take it out or make her edit this. But in today's world,
Drake, well said, man.
Let's tell on ourselves here. Pete, when's the last time you bought a newspaper?
Well, I love to buy the newspaper, and I haven't bought it in like 6 months. So that's
it's pointless now. Most people used to. I remember 15 years ago, every morning, there's a newspaper somewhere you're buying, or every Sunday it's free. You expect the newspaper. Those were so carefully curated. There were eyeballs on every word at the local level. And today, Nancy Armour produces that article, and because, damn, we can't pay you. We can't pay any. We have a 23-year-old intern who's got eyes on this. They're not going to call Nancy Armour and say, hey, maybe we remove the Emmett Till thing. The 23-year-old who just graduated from Northwestern who's making $48,000 a year is not going to do that, because you can't pay an experienced industry professional to do these jobs anymore because there's no money in it. It's this dying art, this dying industry. And so there's a piece of me that does feel for Nancy, who quasi-apologized, because 20 years ago, this doesn't make it past the first set of eyes. Today, she gets to post an article about Caitlin Clark getting a technical foul and then use the name Emmett Till in that article.
I mean, look, you know journalism just like I do. And like, there's so many newsrooms back in the day that, like, if you were going to write something this controversial and provocative, there would be a lot of people brought in to check it out, particularly at the USA Today, right? The fact that this just slips by, and the USA Today, just to give some more context, they went in, they took out the parts about Emmett Till. They did not do a former letter from the editor apology or anything like that, and maybe they will. But if Nancy Armour was really doing her job, right, she'd stop trying to generate clicks and force all of her beliefs on us, which, by the way, good for her. She believes one way. Like, that's why this is America. It's awesome.
Oh, but Pete, let me push back. I don't want to push back necessarily, but what Nancy Armour's saying is Emmett Till shouldn't have been lynched, and there are race issues in the U.S. I don't think anybody's disagreeing with
Yeah,
that.
no kidding.
Exactly. It's the fact that she, and these are her, Pete, this is her words in her apology, quasi-apology. She says that she made a, quote, inartful comparison. She's admitting to comparing the lynching of a human being to a white player in the WNBA getting a technical. Comparing this. That's just, no.
And putting the responsibility on Caitlin Clark that she's got to mind her decorum so her WNBA brethren don't wake up under like a mile or a mountain of DMs that are threatening their lives.
Right.
It's unfair to Caitlin Clark. But the real story is, if Caitlin Clark is so good, why does she have 7 technicals so far this season?
All right.
And, how many games, whatever, where Michael Jordan playing 82 games a year in the NBA, the most T's he ever got were 5. That's the story. It goes back to the WNBA officiating, and it goes back to, it does go back to Caitlin Clark showing up refs. But by showing up refs, she's not getting other women in her league killed. And that's what Nancy Armour is inferring. And it's just irresponsible journalism. And she should know better. For somebody who wrote for 35 years, 20 at the AP, she's trying to drum up a good story and get clicks. I understand it. We're all in that business, but you have to have some kind of responsibility.
It is the Drake Toll Show, Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. Drake Toll with you, Pete Souza co-hosting. She did say in this, I'm going to go back to that word, quasi-apology, and you did a great job earlier of saying she didn't apologize. she just tried to add, she added a little bit more context. She says in the, again, quasi-apology, however, so just negate everything else that we said before this, just however, this point stands. There's a history in this country of perceived threats to white women being weaponized against African Americans and the danger that poses to black players in the league. Where I'm not going to hide, this is straight white guy coming at the topic here. And I understand what perspective that comes from, what privilege that comes from. I had an astute conversation with a scholar yesterday. Boy, what a sentence that was on sports radio about how reading books. I guess somebody asked me, what's the last book you read? I was like, oh, it's been a little bit. It has been a little bit. They're like, well, you can read a book about the Donner Party. You can read a book about somebody who's been in prison, and you're going to gain a new perspective you can put into action in everyday life, right? I'll never understand what it's like to be a person of color. And so I want to give that context in this conversation as well. There is to place exclusivity on death threats to the WNBA or on death threats to race in sports. Pete, Brett Favre, death threats. Aaron Rodgers, death threats. Michael Jordan, death threats. We've seen this song and dance. If you are an athlete at the professional level, at some point, Pete, I bet you've gotten a DM before of I'll find you and I'll kill you. And one's you're right. No one's condoning
After
this.
calling a football game, yeah.
Well, we're not saying. I've seen 3 or 4 TCU fans when I was working at Baylor. No one's condoning this, but to spin this around as the WNBA has an issue exclusive to the WNBA due to race because of death threats is to dilute what the rest of professional athletes, white, black, and the other, go through.
Yeah, and I've heard it from the athletes themselves that I'm not. This isn't even me saying this. I think it was Stephen A. And Jay Williams, if I remember this correctly. If not, please forgive me. But I'm going to go out on a limb here because I'm pretty sure it was him. They shared on First Take last year that hey, if you want to play with the big guns, right? This is what's going to happen. Your league is now evolving to a platform where it's ending up in all the households. It's at the forefront of pop culture. That's a good thing. But a sidecar is this insanity. And I think sometimes, I know, we're breathing too much life into these hysterics on the fringe. I mean, these people don't make up that much of society. And I can't imagine what these women go through when they read that stuff. And it's totally unfortunate and it's wrong. I just wish we had a better way to weed these people out. And now this is a much bigger discussion, but like, I don't know how do you get them off the platforms, whatever. The hate speech is awful nowadays. And that has coincided with the rise of the WNBA, which has made for this perfect storm. But it's up to people like Nancy Armour, right? A columnist for the USA Today to lend some clarity to a situation like this. Help us out. What is your mission? We know how awful racism, slavery. You're going to tell me Emmett Till was the most abhorrent thing maybe in the history of United States and civil rights. Like that whole story, and I've seen documentaries, read about it, it's terrible. So to throw that in with a Caitlin Clark story, anyway, you're kind of trying to put it out there, is irresponsible. Just like, and I say this again, like when somebody calls Westwood One and I'm hosting a show and they say that Caitlin Clark is like Jackie Robinson. And I say, pump the brakes.
Yeah.
I'm fired
1955, Pete. Emmett Till was killed, was murdered, lynched in 1955. That's not that long ago. It's just not that long ago. You know, I mean, it's just not. And
well,
and
when
so
I used to work, I'll say it like this. When I worked for the Hornets, Bernie Bickerstaff was our head coach. You know, Bernie had grown up drinking from different water fountains in Kentucky before his family moved to California. I mean, these people are around us, and I used to talk to him, and I would listen to him talk about, like, he still is such a brilliant man and was so thoughtful. And, like, that's who you learn from. You don't learn from Nancy Armour.
No. Not in this context. That's not how we grow. It's not how we get better. He's Pete Souza, ESPN, NBC Sports play-by-play, co-hosting the Drake Toll Show. Drake Toll with you from the Savannah Bananas organization, Locked On Big 12. When we come back, Stu Kovacs has done it again. This time we go to Locked On SEC. Chris Gordy from SEC Media Days. What the hell's going on with Lane Kiffin? What the hell? Lane Kiffin's up there giving 16-minute rants and refusing questions and just creating more controversy. But is Lane Kiffin winning by doing so? And is the SEC dead? This, we'll answer it, is the Drake Toll Show.
Patriots training camp is now underway. A.J. Brown arrives with enormous expectations. Can the star wideout be the missing piece for Drake May and the defending AFC champions? Westwood One Sports.
At the Tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds.
Time keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping into the future. Time keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping into the future. I wanna fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let my spirit carry me. I want to fly like an eagle till I'm free. I go through the revolution, feed the babies who don't have enough to eat. Shoe the children with no shoes on their feet. House the people living in the street. Oh, there's a solution. I want to fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let my spirit carry me. I want slipping into the future. Time keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping into the future. Time keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping into the future. I want to fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let my spirit carry me. I want to fly like an eagle, go free. Fly through the revolution. Time keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping into the future. Time keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping into the future.
Drums keep pounding a rhythm to the brain.
It is the Drake Toll Show. Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. Drake Toll with you from the Savannah Bananas organization and Locked On Big 12, alongside Pete Souza, ESPN and NBC Sports play-by-play, co-hosting Stu Kovacs. Produces Laura Jimenez, runs the board, and he's making his return to Westwood One Sports from Locked On SEC. Chris Gordy. Gordy, good morning. Thanks for being up early with us. SEC Media Days. Look, we did not have segment after segment, show after show about ACC Media Days. We haven't done this about the Big 12. We haven't talked a lot of Big 10 football the offseason. The SEC has been the story this week. Is that the entire goal? Is that what SEC Media Days is supposed to be? A reminder to the country that the SEC is still number one as it pertains to the news cycle?
Hell yeah, it just means more. Come on, you know the hashtag. That's what the SEC is built on. They, look, I think they're also the only conference that has events for the media every night. I'm talking free food, open bar, live music. Hanging out in the suite at the hockey arena for the Tampa Bay Lightning, hanging out in the Tampa Bay Bucks suite. I mean, it was pretty awesome, and it's cool, man. I've been going for 15 plus years now, and it's gotten bigger and bigger every year. Obviously, with the conference expanding over the years, adding A&M and Mizzou, and then adding Texas and Oklahoma, it's just gotten bigger and bigger. And yeah, this is what they want. They want to make headlines, and it's funny because the coaches want the opposite. They want to go to media days and get the hell out of there and not make headlines. Yep. So it's just kind of funny how it works.
We had Clark Lee and John Summerall both on the show this week, and I think both of them kind of have the same approach of we're cool with the media, but let's coach football. They're both football guys. Lane Kiffin likes to tell you he's a football guy, likes to tell you he doesn't like the media. And then he goes and pulls stunts like yesterday where he rambles for 16 minutes and throws in a bunch of it. He deletes social media. And at what level is a Lane Kiffin just seeking attention at every step of the way, and that just may never change?
Well, I think it's the other way. The tension just follows him no matter what now. I mean, you talk about it like he really got off social media for several months. And, I mean, as a guy who was posting everything every day, his hot yoga session, his trip to the coffee shop, I mean, everything was being detailed of his day on social media, he stopped. And yet he still gets, the attention. And so I call him a lightning rod. I mean, it's just kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, no matter what he does right now. But, I thought he tried to be pretty candid. Everybody saw through what he was doing, though, because I kept saying all week, I'm like, man, this is going to be the first time since he left Ole Miss that he's going to have to face tough questions from national media, from Oxford media. And he did a pretty damn good job of filibustering, so he only took about 4 questions in the big room and kind of avoided some of those tough questions. But, yeah, man, he's a strange cat, and attention follows him everywhere he goes. The good thing for LSU fans is he's a damn good football coach, and so if he wins a lot of games, none of that will matter.
Yeah.
Hey, Gordy, Pete Souza here. I love your work, by the way, on Locked On and Houston Radio. I've been following you for a while. And I know you're the best person to ask this question to about the SEC. I always I base a lot of the things that I start to feel and project on history. And I feel it could be sneaking up on us with all the headlines that are not attached to anything real right now. When I remember Oklahoma and Texas joining the SEC, there was zero fanfare around that, like in the weeks leading up. Do you think there is a chance that we wake up one morning a month from now or 2 months from now where there's some sort of an announcement of the SEC seceding either from the NCAA or the SEC and the Big Ten and some others breaking away? Do you feel like something like that could happen sooner than later? Just because of the fashion it happened with last time with Oklahoma and Texas. That was a huge move. And that was Bob Bowlesby kind of being backed up against the wall, pulling a rabbit out of a hat. I don't know that they have another rabbit like that, but do you think they try to pull off another magic act?
No, I mean, I think a lot of that is posturing. I think that's all, look, there's a simple thing a lot of the SEC coaches and Greg Sankey want. They want rules and they want them enforced. I know it's a crazy thing to ask for, but the NCAA has failed to do that and time again. And look, there's even a bit of hypocrisy on that part too, where, a school will say, yeah, we follow the rules. And then, wait, we can try to get our quarterback another year of eligibility. Hey, let's go to a local judge and overrule the rules. So I think that's what this all comes back to is they just want to have a set of rules and guidelines that everybody follows and the rules are enforced. And that's where, Greg Sankey said, look, if we can't get this Protect College Sports Act done or something similar to it, we'll take our ball and go home and go create our own thing. It's not saying we're more powerful. It's just saying we want to follow these rules. Kirby Smart reiterated, said it this week that he's on board with it. So, but again, at the end of the day, I think it's just posturing. I think this is trying to put pressure on folks to get these rules passed, as opposed to, just saying we're going to go do our own thing. It would be very hard, guys, for the SEC to break away. Now, there was some conversation that they would pair with the Big Ten and they could create their own football conference and see what happens from there. But I think at the end of the day, this is all just kind of taking a hard stance to put pressure on people for something to happen as opposed to saying this is really going to happen.
He's Chris Gordy of Locked On SEC, joining the Drake Toll Show, Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. Gordy, 40 years ago, SEC Media Days, and the format looked a lot different. Sam Pittman was wearing a bra. I know a lot's changed. I know a lot's changed over the course of time in the Southeastern Conference. One of the biggest pieces that I've wondered, and Pete, we can even get into this later on in the show, is and you asked this question, Pete, by the way. about whether or not the SEC was desperate, whether or not the SEC was, the rhetoric was not dangerous necessarily, but it's just different. Gordy, for you as a guy who's covered the conference for a long time, going back to 4 years ago when the SEC had just won a national title 65-7, I don't remember the complaints about formatting and rules, and it was a different era of college football. You could argue that. But does it feel like a lot of the SEC and the PR they're pumping is based on 3 years without a national champion represented in the game?
Yeah, it's a weird time for the conference. Look, Greg Sankey knows it. I mean, I used to have fun with him every year at SEC Media Days. I would ask the question, Greg, do you ever get tired of winning? And he would kind of chuckle. And, this was kind of the funny thing because, not only was the SEC winning football championships, they were winning in a lot of other things as well. College baseball, track and field, all that other stuff. And they're still doing that. They're just not winning in the one that matters most, and that's football. And yet somehow the SEC has gotten stronger from top to bottom, that it's a more level playing field than it's ever been. The worst team in the SEC can give the best team in the SEC a game. Some people might say that's weakness. I think that's strength. That means your conference is so strong, anybody can beat anybody on any given day. Now, other people on the outside, they'll point to, okay, you haven't played for a national championship 3 years. That's true. And then other people like to go to bowl season. Bowl season is such a joke to me because you have opt-outs. I mean, so many SEC teams have stars opt out. I mean, South Carolina's star safety last year opted out at halftime and said, I'm not going back in the game, and South Carolina loses. So, I mean, it's kind of just weird how those games happen. So I don't put much stock in that conference versus conference. But, yeah, at the end of the day, the SEC has got to get back to playing for a national championship. They just is the conference pride thing that they take more pride in it than just about anybody. So they've got to break through, whether it's Georgia, whether it's Texas, whoever it is this year. They have to at least play for one this year.
All right, so who is the best team in the SEC?
I think it's Texas. I mean, we've heard the words all in so many times this offseason with Texas. What does all in mean? All in means you spent more money than you've ever spent on any transfer portal or recruiting class. All in means you fire your DC and you bring in Will Muschamp to bring in a more aggressive blitzing defense. All in is clearing out your running back room and bringing in Raleek Brown and Hollywood Smothers. All in is going to get in the top wide receiver in the portal and Cam Coleman to get Arch Manning a big-time weapon. And I think that's the other part of it, too. This might be Arch Manning's last year. Steve Sarkisian, do you really want to go down and say, the 2 years you had Arch Manning as a starter, you don't even make the playoffs? So, yeah, Texas has put all their chips in the middle of the table, and it's going to be fascinating to see how this plays out, guys, because they have a tough schedule. I mean, it's brutal. It's an SEC slate that has a ton of tough road games on top of playing Ohio State in week 2. So they're going to have one of those magical, I don't want to say Joe Burrow LSU like, but one of those magical type seasons if they're going to go play for a title and win it all.
It is Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app, live on SiriusXM 375 and the Westwood One Sports app. The Drake Toll Show is Chris Gordy of Locked On SEC joins us. Gordy, last thing I got for you. Who the hell is Ryan Silverfield? And I guess the better question with that is, these brand new SEC coaches, first-year guys, any of them jump off the page to you? Because it's a new look for a few big brands in the conference.
It is, and Silverfield might have the toughest job at Arkansas. I mean, it's hard to win there, man. You're in a tough spot, but I do like that. Of the other head coaches that were hired from the AAC, John Summerall and Alex Golish, he's got a winning record against those guys. So maybe Silverfield's got a leg up there. But of all the names of the new coaches in the SEC that are most intriguing, to me, it's John Summerall at Florida. I mean, the minute you hear that guy talking, you guys know. I mean, you had him on. He's got that infectious energy, and he's a guy you want to, like, after 10 minutes talking to, you want to run through a wall for him. What do I need to do, Coach? I mean, that's how these Florida players have responded. I talked to Miles Graham this week, his linebacker, and he's like, man, fell in love with him from the moment we met him. And so you look at their roster, and they got Jaden Ball, one of the leading rushers in the country, a really good wide receiver room, a strong defense. They just got to figure out the quarterback thing, and there's a reason why people are putting Florida, sneaking them into their top 25 this year, around 24 or 25. But people think this might be a year that Florida's back and maybe disrupt some things.
You can follow him at Sports Talk 790 in Houston, Locked On SEC, or at Chris Gordy on Twitter. Gordy, incredibly appreciative of your time, your perspective from SEC Media Days. It just means more.
Absolutely, guys. Let's go win one.
Let's play a game.
Let's go win one. Yeah, man. We're going to have to get to football season at some point, Pete. We're just going to have to win.
You asked a great question about the new coaches around these big brands. Golish is a great example. I think that guy's different, man. I had a USF game last year, late in the season, and you kind of operate like 10,000 feet, 15,000 feet above all this.
You're doing play-by-play, ESPN, USF. Who they play?
Play-by-play for ESPN. Yeah, thanks. So, I drill down to learn about Golish, and of course, you meet him. You have coaches meetings. The guy's amazing. He's a Russian immigrant, basically. Comes to America when he's like 7 years old, living in New York City, is obsessed with football after seeing the game on television, and convinces his dad to go let him like work at a football camp somewhere in like the northern part of the state where he's just like almost like a water boy. And he fell in love with the sport from that point going forward. And the guy is just different. He's just different. And if I could pick one new coach in college football that I'm looking to continue to take off like a rocket ship, but winning in the SEC will be breaking through, I think it could be him. And remember, Nick Saban, I think, was 7-6 in his first year at Alabama. So I don't expect undefeated season out of Auburn this year. But I would keep an eye on him.
Lost to ULM, Saban, that first campaign at Alabama. Louisiana Monroe. Gross. When we come back, let's take you through Lane Kiffin's antics yesterday, because Gordy said the attention follows him. I might push back a little bit on the Locked On SEC host to say that Kiffin has asked in his career for attention many times. And until he truly shows he's learned his lesson, I'm going to err on the side of Lane Kiffin, the attention hog. Sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting small businesses with affordable coverage options. Quote today at progressivecommercial.com. When we come back, does Lane Kiffin just want the spotlight? 16 minutes of it he got yesterday. He's Pete Souza co-hosting. Stu Kovacs produces This Week, and Laura Jimenez runs the board. This is the Drake Toll Show.
The Rams traded for Myles Garrett, and now comes the hard part, living up to the expectations. Can NFL MVP Matthew Stafford make one more Super Bowl run? LA's training camp starts tomorrow. Westwood One Sports.
Welcome back to the Drake Toll Show. Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. Darude Sandstorm? Virginia Tech? Is that what we got going on here?
Virginia Tech, K-State, dude. When they play that during a timeout, if I'm calling a game in Manhattan, now last year they sucked. But they play that at a timeout during a run, and Bramlage Coliseum, it's like the roof is going to blow off.
Well, can I ask you a question?
You got to give those fans props.
I mean, the answer is yes. I'm going to be able to ask you the question. So through play-by-play, ESPN and NBC, you've gotten to see some of the best college basketball, specifically atmospheres in the country. What's the best one? There's got to be Kansas. Fall Gallon, huh?
Yeah. I had Kansas, Iowa State on like a Saturday afternoon when both teams were ranked in the top 15. And, I grew up in Philly, so the Big Five, the Palestra, there's a lot of rich basketball history there. There is something about Allen Fieldhouse. You feel like every window should be stained glass. It's just got that feeling to it. And then it just comes alive, and students are outside overnight, a couple days before. It's just got that vibe, man. You can't take that and package it and put it anywhere else. It has to be real, and I think the state of Kansas and basketball is one of the main reasons it shines through like that.
Does it make a more modern complex? I say modern, even like a Bud Walton Arena at Arkansas. I don't know if you've been, but it's got this Rupp Arena feel of just, it feels very NBA, but new school NBA. Is there something about the cathedral of an Allen Fieldhouse, of these old arenas? Is that what it is? It's old and loud?
Yeah, and they try to produce that in the NBA. A lot of these new courts that are built, the thumbprint is very small around the actual court, and that's because they want to make it feel like a college atmosphere. But the problem is, you actually have to have the dudes and the ladies in there that care like that. And that's what makes these particular things I'm talking about so absolutely special.
It is the Drake Toll, the Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. People have been talking all day about it, the SEC. Lane Kiffin, specifically. And the question of the day today was surrounding the SEC being dead. Desperate. I mean, where is the SEC in the context of modern college football? And 310-840-4910, we've gotten your thoughts over the course of the day as well. I pointed a guy like Lane Kiffin, who's gotten to be a flag bearer for the league, who's gotten to be a face, a voice for the SEC. And yesterday he goes on a 16-minute filibuster to avoid questions, says he's deleted social media, and he's turned his life around, and he's sorry for the way things ended at Ole Miss. Problem is, Pete, I've heard him do this. Every 3 years, he comes to the podium and like, my life has changed. It's over. I'm doing Pilates now. My ex-wife and I are on good terms, but I am dating a 23-year-old. Like, I've heard him do this before. I've seen the song and dance. Should I trust Lane Kiffin now?
No, you shouldn't. He's got to earn your trust. That's the truth. I mean, as much as I get intoxicated by Lane too, he's got that charisma, the aw shucks, and you feel like he's being genuine. But at the end of the day, you've got to go with history. And history has shown us that he is a grifter. And that he is a manipulator. But I guess if you're going to do something, you might as well be the best. And he definitely is the best at that. But I have too much information in the rearview window that tells me this will end the same like all the others did. Now, can it end with the national championship, though? That could be a huge separator for him.
No. Lane
You don't
Kiffin
think he can win a
will never
championship?
Lane Kiffin will never win a national championship.
Why do you say that?
No, he will never. This is the championships elude the Kiffin name. There is no. I mean, if I look at the coaches who've won national
His
championships,
dad won a
in college
Super Bowl
football,
as a defensive coordinator.
As a defensive coordinator, yes. Tampa 2, baby. Tampa 2. Come on. Great.
He didn't win much at NC State, though. I can promise you that. His dad.
If you, Pete, you said it earlier. We're starting to see modern Kurt Signetti comes out of nowhere. Nowhere. Yes. No one knew that name. Willie Fritz at Houston, who's starting to win at a high level, won 10 games there last year and beat LSU in a bowl game. When I think about coaches who win at a super high level or even championship, like Kirby Smart or even a Ryan Day or a Harbaugh, or I'm thinking recent Nick Saban, they all have just Kiffin at no point has shown that level of pedigree, has shown that level of control over a program to the point you say, oh, that's a coach who's got the right, who actually has championship in his headlights. Kiffin has never screamed that and still doesn't scream that. He screams, hey, I've got a Subaru. It's got 133,000 miles on it. I'll sell it to you for $14K. You're getting a hell of a deal. That's what it is.
And I feel you there because I think last year was a tremendous example of how this dude just can't get out of his own way. I mean, his team was like 18 seconds from the championship, right? He wasn't coaching him anymore, but like he was that close and abandoned ship, basically. Like, that is moronic. Honestly, it's moronic because if this is about winning and winning championships, you don't need the money. You don't you can wait a year for a different. I don't buy that like he had this better job and had to do it. I think that what we saw last year is really who this guy is, right? And it bubbled up that he just can't get out of his own way.
It is the Drake Toll Show, Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. Drake Toll with you alongside Pete Souza. And it's time for our top 3 moments of the week from the show this week. Stu Kovacs producing incredible job with our guests this week. And the number 3 moment of the week, Aaron Murray, the SEC all-time leader in passing yards, joined to say the SEC, despite not being in a national title the last 3 years, is still the best conference in America.
I think the fans are part of it. I mean, you go into any SEC stadium every week. I think we average around 80,000 plus fans a game last year throughout conference play, which is just absolutely incredible. So the energy in the stadium, the brands, the NFL caliber of players. So yes, the SEC hasn't won a national championship in a few years, but we're still, SEC is still putting out more NFL talent than anyone else. So I just think that any given day when you go to an SEC game and you see the talent, you see the coaching, you see the brand, there's just a little bit more excitement. There's more tradition. And no bash to any of these teams, but in Iowa, Northwestern compared to even a South Carolina Vandy game, the SEC, the middle of the SEC compared to the middle of the Big Ten, even bottom of the Big Ten, those games are just more exciting.
Aaron Murray, the SEC is the best conference. It has the most talent. Does have the most talent, and I guess it could be the best conference in that regard. The number 2 moment of the week, the Florida head man, John Sumrall, joined the program with myself and Pete Souza, and John was a spitfire saying expectations at Florida are expected.
I don't really try to manage expectations. I embrace them, and to me, the way you embrace expectations is by how you live every day. What standards do you have within your program? I chose to come to Florida because, championships are desired, and that is the goal. And so, I don't really spend a whole lot of time maybe thinking about what's our fan base's expectations. I know my expectations, it's for us to prepare to compete, to win a game every time we play. There's a process to everything, but the process doesn't mean it needs to be 5 years from now we start winning. Like that's ludicrous to me. And so I really embrace people wanting us to be great right away.
Yeah. Expect it now, not in 5 years. And
finally, by the way, we got
Sumrall
he was the first horse out of the gate on media day. We should have gotten on some of those markets where we could have wagered on this guy being the star of media day because we knew it the moment we had him here on the Drake Toll Show at 8:20.
And he went viral. That guy was he was top notch with us, top notch at media days, at least in the headlines. He made headlines.
8:20 Central.
Number 1 moment. Number 1 moment of the week this week, Clark Lee, the Vanderbilt head coach. Pete asked him, who's your quarterback 1, and is it the freshman, Jared Curtis?
No, I mean, he's locked in a battle, and I think we're working through elimination this summer. So we're going to split a lot of drills, in a weird way to answer your question. So we'll have 2 fields, 2 spots going. Part of that is to just how many reps can we actually get for these guys? You can't prepare 4 people to play. That is the truth. What we can do is set our practice around getting as many reps as you can to evaluate, knowing that, Jared and Blaze are going to get kind of the first looks at this, and hopefully after the first scrimmage, we'll be able to kind of really lock one guy into place. But there will be a constant evaluation through training camp.
Pete, you got him there, man. You got the inside scoop on the Vanderbilt quarterback competition now that Diego Pavia is gone.
And I love having a 5-star that comes in that you flipped from Georgia to possibly be your starter. But when you got a guy named Blaze, you got a competition. I can tell you that much, brother.
The NFL loves grass, Pete. The NFL loves grass. Man, I want to tell you, we worked together, worked around each other adjacent in Waco, Texas, probably 8 years ago to start, and then a few years there in the 254. Man, I have always looked up to how you handle business, how you do things, and having you co-host this week for these 3 days has been an honor. And how much fun! Just the way the show is elevated through your lens, through your voice, through what you bring, the energy you give. Man, what do you say we do it again on Monday, huh?
Thanks for babysitting.
I'm in.
Thanks for babysitting Drake for us.
It's fine. Yeah, it's $12 an hour. Yeah.
No, we'll pay you more. Please, we'll pay you more.
I'm giving the keys back to you and Abby, or you and Stu.
Yeah. Pete, a pleasure, man. It's been a great few days.
Yeah, it's been a blast, man. Thank you guys so much for having me. It's been an amazing experience. I've loved it.
Yeah. He's Pete Souza, ESPN and NBC Sports play-by-play. Laura Jimenez runs the board. Stu Kovacs produces this week. And what a great week it was. Thanks again, Stu, for guys like John Summerall, Aaron Murray, Chris Gordy, who joined the program, and even getting in Clark Lee, the Vanderbilt head coach, in there. To Armin Williams, Bruce Gilbert, Colin Jones, and Ryan McGuire, thank you for a job. It is Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. You Better You Bet is coming up with Nick Costos from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. We'll see you again on Monday. Enjoy your weekend. Have a safe one, everybody. This is the Drake Toll Show.
This is Westwood One Sports.